Draisaitl. Connor McDavid has a busy first couple of games, but really nothing production-wise. Just one assist on a 4-on-4 in game 2. Leon Draisaitl has had nothing going at all. Those two guys dominate on the power play. The power play is scoreless in the season. Draisaitl has had a myriad of failures in injury, and ineffective Verhaeghe is under the lineup.
What's going on, everybody? John out here with you. I got Alec Nava alongside me as usual. It is Thursday, June 13th, 2024. It's going to be time for Game 3. Before we get into that, here on the starting lineup, Maurice, it's the Florida Panthers. Alexander Barkov, Evan Rodrigues, Sam Reinhart, Gustav Forsling, Aaron Ekblad, Sam Bennett, Carter Verhaeghe, Matthew Tkachuk, Nico Nicola, Brandon Montour, Anton Lundell, Eetu Luostarinen, Vlad Tarasenko, Kevin Stenlund, Stephen Lorentz, Nick Cousins, OEL, and Dmitry Kulikov, spearheaded by Sergei Bobrovsky on the back end. The Edmonton Oilers have scored just 2 goals. 1 goal essentially in the last 2 games. Kris Knoblauch, the Edmonton Oilers, it sounds like this. Connor McDavid, RNH, Zach Hyman, and T.S. Ekholm, Evan Bouchard. Leon Draisaitl, Evander Kane is finally going to sit out with the sports hernia, so he will not play. Dylan Holloway, Darnell Nurse, Vincent Desharnais, and Sam Carrick, Warren Fogle, Corey Perry. He's going to get moved up. Brett Kulak, Philip Broberg, and Stuart Skinner will be of record. Alec, we've gone over this a few times with the Edmonton Oilers, struggling on the power play. They finally conceded on the penalty kill, but that is not the worry. They only have the 1 goal. They need their fans behind them tonight. Will they get it done?
The fan support is the X factor. As they're hosting a Stanley Cup final game for the first time in 18 years, and you noted just 1 goal in the first 2 games. 2 decades ago, and every team that scored 1 goal or less in the Stanley Cup final lost every time. The Oilers, they want to change that. They can all start with keeping level-headed. Don't do a repeat of Game 2, because in Game 2, you lost your cool, all hell broke loose. That allowed eventually take over. They're full agitators. If you think about the Brad Marchand dilemma, if you know what he does best, now imagine a team full of play styles like Brad Marchand. That's the Florida Panthers here and there between Bennett, Tkachuk, and most of those guys with the agitation style. Intimidation. Do not get intimidated and do not fall into their traps. That should be what the Oilers should do in Game 3.
So let's get you reset here for those that are just joining in on the Twitch side, YouTube, Twitter space, or if you need to listen on the delay and Hopeless Sports Guy. 3-0 Florida in the first game. Sergei Bobrovsky experienced a 32-save shutout. But let's lean into Game 2. Covered a few days ago. Florida wins 4-1. Draisaitl and Nurse. It was a bunch of dumb plays by Edmonton but it was an effort that could be seen through the rearview mirror. What I mean by that was that an excellent start in Game 1. They did not end up getting the win. They lost 3-0 to the worst game. You thought that they could try to bring in some of that effort? No, Florida completely responded. I'm not sure the picture can be depicted anything else other than reality, which is today essentially for Edmonton having to win 4 of the next 5. Here's a stat for you that's eye-opening. Nico Nicola has 97 career playoff games. Well, he's got 3 goals against Edmonton in totality, 4 points that he's got. So that just tells you that Mikkola has been able to do some damage. Ekholm, again in the first, and then Nico Mikkola, Evan Rodrigues with a couple. That beautiful deflection, the finale goal, a turnover by Bouchard that was roofed near the left side circle, and then Ekblad with the empty netter. It was a very nasty game. Barkov and Nurse did not return. Luostarinen and Ekblad did. We were one suspension across from what Alec sent to me. None of those suspensions happened. And oh, by the way, for Edmonton, if you have any of those situations, assuming that was or not happen, you don't want to have a Canadian team deal with some of those losses there, especially on their first game in home ice, as Alec said so many years ago in this Game 3. So wasn't likely, didn't happen. Sergei Bobrovsky only had to make 18 saves in the win. Stuart Skinner took 24 saves in the loss, but it wasn't his fault. He had a Fogle knee on. Was speared, and then hit by Verhaeghe in the face. And no suspensions. Florida plane was delayed by flooding heading into it. They left a day later. I want to see what Barkov does in this game, but as we talk about to end it here for me, it's a win now or nothing essentially for Edmonton. This is the series tonight.
The series for all the suspensions that you named here, both Leon Draisaitl, Warren Foegele, the only supplemental discipline, Sam Carrick got fined for his hit on Dmitry Kulikov. When Kevin Stanley, he got speared. I thought he should have been ejected for the game, perhaps a little more of those fines all around, considering Draisaitl, he hit Barkov high. But let's get this straight. Sam Bennett got nothing when he sucker punched Brad Marchand. There was intent
right
on that sucker punch back in the Boston series for Florida. There was nothing there. Marchand did not return for the rest of the series. Draisaitl catching Barkov up high was a similar hit that Bennett did on Marchand, and Draisaitl got nothing. The field speaks to the inconsistency of the Department of Player Safety. I'm just kind of wondering, what is the sense of direction with the Department of Player Safety? No Warren Foegele, 5 in a game for me. Eetu Luostarinen returned, and now that you mentioned Barkov with the elbow up high on Draisaitl, he's back up to strength. How effective is he going to be? I feel a 90% Barkov will still be as dangerous, though not as dangerous as a 1% Barkov. He's still dangerous on the ice.
Yes, he is, and again, his defensive impact is unparalleled. Dose lines essentially are able to dominate and take away anything the Edmonton Oilers are trying to do. Again, we mentioned just the one goal for them. I tried to not join in early on the pregame, but a little bit of a delay here for the Edmonton start, understandably. They had Our Lady Peace performing on the outside. That's a well-known Canadian band. That reminds me going on there. The Oilers fans are going to be nuts. Again, as Alec mentioned, this is the one that the Oilers have to get. This probably is their best chance. If they don't win, it's going to essentially put us into a Saturday where Cooper Hopkins will finally join. And I'll try to see if I can get a trio outside of the broadcast there where we each take a period. But yeah, I mean, we could essentially see both of the NBA finals and both the Stanley Cup finals and early. That is not what either Alec and I want. But this is the situation that you have. When you have dominant teams out in front of you, make no mistake about it, Florida was going to be the one to represent the East. We kind of all thought that going in. The Oilers, they're able to make quick work of the Dallas Stars, essentially, and have to survive in between Colorado and Vegas, especially Vegas in the 7-gamer. It's not that they're beat up. It's just Florida is this good, and they're making it tough on Edmonton.
Feels like there's some parallels between the Florida Panthers and the Boston Celtics. Well-rounded lineup, constructed to win a championship now. Because it feels like that. Closer and closer, we might see that the series could end early like this as we see the West Coast Oilers ice and the introductions of the players onto the Stanley Cup final. But both the Panthers and the Celtics, it kind of feels ironic that they're both similarly built. Even though it's different sports, they're similarly built like one another. That they're all well-rounded on both ends of the court/ice.
Yeah, and it's essentially a situation where sometimes you get in the finals in your respective sports and you see matchups like this, and sometimes it happens. Again, it reminds me of how spoiled I was a couple of years ago in between the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning. That one went 6, and I just felt like either one to tell, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Again, as you talked about, you get the player introductions on the ice, the Florida Panthers in the road whites with the red and gold striping, the Panthers logo, and then the sea of orange and blue that we have in Edmonton here at Rogers Place in Alberta. Alec, I'm going to put you on the spot maybe one time and one time only. Do you think the Edmonton Oilers win tonight?
I feel they have the capability to steal it this time if they fix their mistakes. Into those mental mistakes, all those that they can put away from the wayside. The keys here that they need to get up on their power play. They're 0 for 7 on the man advantage during the Stanley Cup final after they converted 37.3% in the first 3 rounds. They know about special teams, especially the man advantage. That's been the big reason here, and they're wanting to get more in that area. The thing is, for as good as their penalty kill is, the Panthers, they easily match the Oilers' penalty kill in that department, just like the rest of the 5-on-5 game, said Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Game 1, they had some good looks. The other night, they hit 2 bars. One of them from Evan Bouchard. but you still want to generate the plays without giving away pucks easily. At the same time, the Nugent, they can probably get their shot rate up a bit. So if the shots fall for the power play, and even at 5-on-5, I think the Oilers, they can win this game and get one back here. I don't know if they can take the Stanley
on record against my better wishes of broadcast partner Cooper Hopkins for both of us as well, alongside Alec Nava tonight. I'm going to say the Edmonton Oilers win this one. This is the only one they're going to get. However, if they don't do it tonight, I see the series ending on 20. On record, Edmonton able to get it. I think if Edmonton's going to have to win it, Alec, this is uncharacteristic of Florida. That's why I don't think that this might happen, but I'm going to say it now. I'm going to pick Edmonton to win. I think Edmonton's got to win in a blowout. That's the way they got to do it. They'd have to take like a 5-2.
Can back that up there with the department.
I'm only saying that because even though Florida does not normally give up those type of results, and it really doesn't seem likely, I feel like that's the only type of game that Edmonton's going to win in this series if they absolutely dominate Florida. So that's what I'm going to say today. And don't take that for gospel, but if Edmonton's going to get one, that's what I'll take. And again, as you mentioned with some of those other ones, as far as what they wanted to change today and what they wanted to do, I heard some of the quotes from Connor McDavid from EJ Power puck movement. We need to just figure out getting more shots, kind of get more shots, kind of play a little bit more freestyle, wheel and deal, and just also rely on Evan Bouchard to generate more offense. Alec and I talked about that ad nauseum through a couple of games. You got to be able to take shots from the point, even when you think they're not open. Try to create some rebounds, get some lanes.
So the punching goals, that's what they need to see. They need to also get more shots from their forwards, considering that most of their shots in Game 2 came from defensemen. That's not what to do on most occasions, having the majority of shots come from defensemen. It may be a testament to Florida's excellence defensively and forcing shots way deep, going from the outside. That means from the point. Evan Bouchard, he knows he has a rocket, and he knows he can unload it. Work those shots, hit the bar. Sergei Bobrovsky's best friend. But you have to have those shots fall, no matter where it is. But you need to emphasize forward play.
You do. You got to emphasize something, or whether it's forwards or defense, but especially forwards from what Alec was just talking about. Again, I mentioned Bouchard on the other end, and not that he's already tested off, because he already is, but they need those chances. They need to generate offense. They put Corey Perry back in the lineup. Hell, he's starting tonight as far as everything listed in the lineups, as they're going to cross both of the national anthems. Again, John Under with you alongside Alec Nava. I will take the first. He'll take the second. This time he'll get the close as we switch around again, and then we'll see what we'll do for Game 4. Maybe I'll get Cooper Hopkins to call the second period against his wishes. I don't think he's going to want to, but try to get the trio broadcast. I do imagine that he feels better than Alec and I do as far as where this series is right now, because I think as far as Alec, and I don't want to put words into his mouth, I think both of us kind of wish that this series would get extended a little bit. I'm still Panthers. I want to see them win it, but I would be sad if these series end in a sweep.
It would be very disappointing knowing Game 3 that was, we had that one in the bag of a 20-2 run before Jason Kidd called timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it may have slowed down the Mavericks' momentum, and Luka Doncic, Kidd's decision to call timeout by that point. I feel understandably so. You don't want to have anything slow down your momentum when you're going on a hot run. Don't stop there. Going with this. I feel it was a questionable timeout call as well. Knowing that the Mavs, they were rolling, looking to answer back and erase that 21-point deficit, and then just went downhill from there. Luka got 2 fouls. The last one was a rather questionable foul, knowing that it might have been a charge or not, though they have ruled that Luka was not in a starting position without the game. And basically, when Luka fouled out, the game might have practically been over by that point.
We're going to talk about all of that on the hardwood side, and I also have a bunch of NHL news, which I'll get Alec's thoughts on, as far as some guy on the block some new names and jerseys and everything else announced, and some other news alongside the NBA Finals, as we mentioned. So Sergei Bobrovsky against of 2.2, 916 save percentage, and 2 shutouts in this series. 1 goal against it. So again, a 3-game losing. Edmonton, again, that hasn't happened since late February in the regular season. 11-7, 251, 896 in a shutout. The save percentage doesn't look good, but again, that was bludgeoned a little bit in that second round against the Vancouver Canucks when they won in 7. So you're looking at Tkachuk, Barkov, McDavid, as he has Draisaitl as well. This is a gigantic game at Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta, in the sea of orange and blue. They need one. This is their life on the line right now. They're staring their own mortality right in the face with the precipice of having to win 4 of 5 against the Florida. Care what team you are in the NHL, winning 4 of 5 against this team is nigh impossible.
But knowing that the Panthers, they're this well-rounded, this good, they want to approach a business-like model and going over to potentially their first Stanley Cup. If they'll nothing at this point, nothing can stop them at this point.
Nope, and that's exactly what Edmonton doesn't want. Again, the old adage of 1 game at a time, you can take that, but really this is the important thing. So Barkov against Draisaitl, we did see him on the opening draw, so his poke check will now take this right to left of the Florida Panthers. Again, they mentioned the and the orange and blue, as we already get a gigantic hit. Barkov was the one that delivered it, so he must be feeling fine enough as this goes the other way. Dumped in. Nico Mikkola will play this off the backhand and see if Florida can take this one right to left. It is the crowd's job tonight is to keep those pipes sharp for their horse. They've got to give energy into the Edmonton Oilers and breathe life into them, if nothing else. That's their job tonight. Here's a play from Bobrovsky. It was partially bobbled. Now Bouchard, McDavid, good save. Bobrovsky, that was the first good chance. That was almost after a poor pass of Bobrovsky trying to play the puck. We saw that a lot in game 1, but Zach Hyman ended up hitting him in the grill. And Bobrovsky was brilliant. This one played behind by Stuart Skinner. And he cannot have any careless goals given away the other way early, because that's going to suck the life out of this crowd as well. So that's the other thing for Edmonton. Even if they don't score, they got to keep this tied and keep the crowd into it. So 14 shot attempts, 10 shots on goal, no goals for Connor McDavid. Again, sometimes it's not about the goals, it's all about the apples, but they need great offense as this one sent in. Be an opportunity now for Vlad Tarasenko. They said he did draw into this lineup. He was battling a little bit of an outside of the cage, and Stuart Skinner will hold on to it. Luostarinen is going to get into the fun nurse, but the Zebras are going to separate them.
Don't Edmonton. You want to tone down on the extracurriculars. Do not play onto the Panthers' traps. I know that in the open, you do not want to fall for any of that. It's a good look from Evan Bouchard to find Connor McDavid, who was open early and split the defense all by himself. Just got a forcing it. Bobrovsky. That's what you need from 97 if he wants to get back onto the board.
Absolutely. Any of those giveaways, anything in his hands, drive the bus. I don't care if you're Connor McDavid in the sense of looking for a pass. I'd be looking for more of my shots. They need 97 to get on the scoreboard tonight. Again, I mentioned if they're going to win this one, I think like a 5-2 scoreline. I know it's not realistic, but I think that's how Edmonton's got to win in a blowout. I think that's really how they got to take care of it if they can. As this goes across the right side, Lindell, what a pass! And this one is Tarasenko got knocked down on his wall. Lindell again, we mentioned his name a lot throughout the series. That was a good play.
He just banked that off of the leg of Philip Brodeur, or was that an approaching Panther right in front? I thought it was Tarasenko.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the shot differentials between games 1 and 2. The Oilers lead the shot attempt department 117 to 105. Shots on goal 51-47. The Panthers, they lead in the most important goals 7-1. The Oilers, last time they've been in the final, they've been outscored by 6 goals.
Absolutely crazy. Again, I looked abbreviated at the Sportsnet coverage, and it was almost like a wake for the Edmonton Oilers. It was very desperate alongside that, and they need this energy right now as we'll get a little bit of an offsides here, 17:47.
What I missed here from the preview is that the Oilers, they were expected to dress 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. This was something that was very common in the Dre Woodcroft years, dressing 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. The Bill Knoblauch's going back to that mantra, and for a curious reason, decided to Sam Carrot. I feel it might be I feel it's a hunch that it may be a message to Carrot to not get into those feisty plays again, such as spearing.
Yeah, don't breathe life into it, as you mentioned. I think that's a good segue to talk about Alec. I'm glad that you brought it up. It's all about getting business done and scoring goals. You got to tonight. Montour, as this one's hit off the glass, and again we get another unique aerial broadcast look as this one's sent in. And across the Oilers logo, it's Gustav Forsling. He absorbs a big hit. And now C have this near his left side dot. Long outstretched pass from 150. This is played by Bobrovsky. This will essentially work right to Tkachuk near the left wing. We'll take an open sauce. Bennett will get the retrieval. That was pretty good work there. Now we'll see if Florida can engage on their forecheck. No points in this series, 19 in the playoffs, tied for most on the team. Here's a one-timer and a needed save there for Skinner on Verhaeghe that was set up by Bennett.
I say, you do not want to turn over or the puck at any point. Even though the Oilers, they were trying to cycle this one out, this went over to the near boards, and it sat right onto a waiting Matthew Tkachuk. He tried to make the one-timer pass right across, and he did so to an open Carter Verhaeghe, but you do not want to turn over the puck at any moment, especially if it is to Tkachuk. It was just waiting there like a shark.
Absolutely. That was a great play and a good design, even better save there by Skinner, but off the face-off, Edmonton turns it over again. They're trying to ignite now. Good work by Draisaitl, drop from McLeod. So interesting line combinations now with Evander Kane. Again, that sports hernia. And was mentioned by Alec. Alongside, here's Barkov in transition. Fired toward the net. They were looking for a defense there for Barkov, and that was dangerous. So Florida's already had really good chances here. They don't care that the plane was a day late and they got delayed a little bit. Florida's always going to get out of their game. There's an opportunity near the right side, banked out in front. Good active stick there for the Edmonton defense. Get it out. They can't clear across the blue line, however. Florida will intercept in the neutral zone now. Evan Rodrigues will go off sides.
Sam Bennett was way across. You think he's in Saskatchewan by this point. When he jumped offside to get on the attack early, I don't think he knew where Evan Rodrigues was, but it was not into the offensive zone. The Panthers, Paul Maurice getting his second season as head coach, 2 straight Stanley Cup final appearances. Good job for him, perhaps cementing himself as the class of the coaches in the Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. I'm going to double down on that. Again, mentioned it a couple of games ago, but when they talked about the Barkov almost injury, but again, he's playing here in Game 3. He said this isn't the Oprah Winfrey show. My feelings don't matter. That's an all-time masterful head coach. As is picked up now by Bennett from McDavid. This will be flipped, and now Florida will send this one in again. As will be played off the backhand by Matthias Ekholm. He is going to run into a phone booth here. He's got to get it out. McDavid, what a chip. Bouchard, full flight Hyman. There's this now to the right side dot. This will be picked up by RNH. You can't hold it. It's Tkachuk. Half spin. He gets taken down, and a penalty is called.
That was the result of the Matthew Tkachuk getting right onto a drawing penalty. I feel it's a good job of Tkachuk going full steam ahead to bait Evan Bouchard into taking a penalty. So it's going to be 2 minutes for what I believe interference somewhere else. It's not going to be Bouchard. It was Brian Nugent-Hopkins, so I thought the penalty was going to be on the Bouchard trip. But no, this is the Nuge. Didn't see it at first, but that's a good job by Tkachuk to do a spinorama trying to bait himself into getting a penalty. It's Nugent-Hopkins away from the play to setting a pick. That's where the penalty was.
That's a very poor penalty by RNH. As this will go back now here for Tkachuk. Again, they mentioned Tkachuk with no points, but again, I always see him making an impact. So what's the difference? And their team's already up by 2 in the series. Reinhart gets absolutely blasted, and this one will get sent back to Bobrovsky. 140 left to go on the first power play. 1 for 8 in the series, 22% in totality as far as their numbers in the playoffs. Reinhart get this ahead for Tkachuk off the back skate. This is a pretty good pass. Barkov's going to pick it up across the wall. Take this one circle to circle. And now Reinhart, this one get cleared all the way back down the ice. So Edmonton's penalty kill still elite. 53 of 57. They did concede one finally in game 2, but they're sitting at 93%. They just got to get their offense going. That's the only thing they got to change. Barkov now. And across the red line, that was a very contested pass to Montour, who made a pass falling down to be able to keep this puck retrieval going. And this will be sent back down the ice. Bobrovsky knows it. He's going to go ahead and play. Verhaeghe off the attempted drop. That was very contested for Tkachuk. Here's a partial shorthanded chance, and this one is solved. Here's another rebound, and this one gets shot high. My goodness, Edmonton's going to be kicking themselves. Rodrigues, this will go the other. Florida absolves the danger. Here's Bennett. Tarasenko to Bennett in full flight. Lundell send it back. Ekman-Larsson fan on the bomb. No matter. This will drop to Rodrigues. Bennett behind his back. Lundell. This one now sent back down the ice again. Man, action that we've had from the start of this game 3. Lundell. Bennett gets around the bowling pins. Edmonton kills the penalty. Now RNH right out of the box. No shots on that power play, but honestly, it was still pretty dangerous, and even almost for Edmonton as this goes on play.
That was as much of a seesaw as it was the power play for the Panthers. You don't know who has the momentum by this point on the man advantage. Getting good looks. On the other, you have the Oilers nearly scoring shorthanded, and on a Brown shot, he might have ran out of a good look for the far side. Brandon Brodeur got back on time. On the second look, Verhaeghe set him up nicely. Brown just wished that he could have aimed that one perfectly over the top left corner. We mentioned about that Oilers need to fire top side. That's the weakness of Bobrovsky. Brown did exactly that. Unfortunately, he leveled it a little too high.
Again, just the one penalty. That one was killed off. Edmonton tried to make a shorthand chances out with Connor Brown a couple times off the rush and then off the give-and-go pass when he tried to roof the thing high. 5 shots to 3, 5 hits to 3, face-offs 4-3, all in favor of the Cats. Not a bad start for them. Sergei Bobrovsky already called into action. Again, we both kind of previews as far as what we think this game is going to go and what Edmonton needs to do. Now it just remains to be seen whether or not it can get done. I know it didn't work out in game 1 as far as the pace when Florida won 3-0, but I do think, Alec, this is the pace that the Edmonton Oilers need to play at.
That they're slowing down the game in the first period, but they need to go at their own pace to speed it up towards their direction and slow it down on the Panthers. Because at some point, they're due for a breakout, scoring more than once in the first period. They did get 1 goal, but that's the only one they had for the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup final. Matthias Ekholm off the free 8-on-1, but now you need to get more of those, especially if it is shorthanded or maybe on your man advantage. Connor Brown, good look. Now get some more. Connor McDavid, good look. Get some more.
Absolutely. That's got to be the mantra. That's got to be the message. Again, the crowd of this from the word go. Again, talking about what Darnell Nurse and Emily Kaplan on ice for 26 of 54 goals against. That is not something he's going to want to be able to look at again if they show it on the screen, if he watches it on a tape delay. As this is sent around now for Ekblad, Reinhart, Bouchard trying to pry it loose, and Florida will gain that blue line, get it out as Edmonton sends it back in. Gustav Forsling make his pass now. Evan Rodrigues find the entry now for Ekblad. Second worst plus-minus all time. Again, Paul Reinhart, 16. That's Sam Reinhart's dad. So we'll see if he can end up breaking that and take his dad off the list. That would be kind of ironic, as this one is sent in by Skinner. Get a chance to play it now, and Florida steals right in off the forecheck. He had Bennett cruising right to the net. Here's Ekman-Larsson trying to tip for Bennett. The Oilers have to have Nava on his off wing. This one goes wide. That was McDavid there trying to make a play. Here is Bennett. Bennett now finds the entry. Bennett shoots. This one near the left side red line. Stolen again by Florida. Drive toward the net off the backhand. And Stuart Skinner has it as he denies Verhaeghe the chance.
Greece. Carter Verhaeghe knows that all too well, knowing his teammates, they do that at times. And Verhaeghe wanted to emulate that with drive over to the backhand. His only overtime winner in this postseason came on a drive over to the net and good cruising on his backhand. That's what he did in Game 6 against Washington. And it's only uphill for the Panthers ever since.
You know, it's funny because we mentioned about Verhaeghe, mentioned with Tkachuk about the lack of points and all that, and yet look at Florida just continuing to steamroll. Everybody else is picking up the slack. It's kind of like the Boston about on the hardwood side. Everybody contributes from good teams, and everybody contributes. You don't have a problem when a couple players really struggle, and honestly, they're still playing quite well, even though they don't have any points to really show for it. As this is now off the backhand. Picked up now off the crisscross. Good skate here. See if Brodeur can make something happen here. You try to leave it back to the left side blue line. Good puck possession. Wrap around a tip. Janmark bounces off the top of the cage. Aerial cam. This is glove down Montour. He made a gorgeous play, falling in the seat of his pants, just getting this back in the Edmonton defensive zone. So Paul Maurice's and Kris Knoblauch squad will take a change. Shots on goal are 7-6. Again, I mentioned vehemently, this is the pace that Edmonton's got to play at. Yes, they might consider goals, but I think they might actually get a couple extra, and that's what they need. Bobrovsky slows it down with the stick. And now an opportunity for Florida to take this right to left. Here's an opportunity, Kulikov. Able to gain the entry. Excuse me, that's Lorentz off the Kulikov pass. And now an opportunity near the left side. Lorentz tries to find a check. This is a good forecheck. Good again. Keeps Skinner back, busy behind his office. Again, Florida. Another steal off the pinch. They finish a hit. They pick up the puck. Here's Lorentz. Still with it. They'll send it back behind the end boards. Excellent job for the Panthers. They've already got a couple of these steals. They'll send it back around the end boards again. Another hit. Another. Cody Ceci says he's got enough of it. We'll gain it in across the red line and mercifully let these guys take a change. But the forecheck's been unrelenting here, especially from the start. I like it for the Panthers, and I like it for the Oilers. Barkov, in between his legs off the toe drag, gets it back, sets up the slapper. This one blocked. See if Edmonton can do something here. Hyman now. Chip and chase. Tries to get his own puck. He'll push Barkov against the Bobrovsky's net. Edmonton. Bouchard. This time he does elect to take the shot, but he gets blocked by Reinhart. Florida will collect. Long flip. And this, the ref says no. The fans want a penalty. We'll see what we get.
I think it's the way of game. One of those rare instances that Alex, yes, you heard this correctly, Alexander Barkov is getting penalized for delay of game. Can you believe this?
No, I can't. Again, I correct myself because the first time I thought the ref said no, and on this time I look at it again. Barkov's got it near the right side red line, and yeah, that's unabated. That's over the glass. He's a guy that can be a power play penalty kill extraordinaire. He's one of the very best we got in the league. He's in the box. That's their captaincy. If Edmonton can't strike now, when are they going to strike? Here's an opportunity. Go ahead.
And you know, if they can't strike now on the man advantage, who knows if they're going to strike?
Here's an opportunity now. RNH. It's loose. McDavid shoots it wide. Are you kidding? This goes now for Bouchard. Back to Connor McDavid near the right dot. They said they were going to do less setup and more shooting, but right now it looks like setup. Here's McDavid. The problem with that is they've been able to circle. Now RNH. He shoots it off the side of the net, and this goes out of play.
So you said set up the perfect play. Sometimes you get it directly onto the net. Connor McDavid tried to do that. It felt like it was two good Oiler looks, for one of which was wide. Way, Bobrovsky may have found a piece of it off his pad.
I'm looking to see. He might have actually, Alec, if you saved me on that one near the right side of the pad. I thought McDavid, just barely though, as this is another draw. So Draisaitl take it with McDavid on the off wing. That's their customary look on the power play. McDavid able to circumvent. Here for Bouchard, RNH. Evans got it now. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, wrister. This block right back to him. Evan Bouchard, Connor McDavid. And again, they mentioned they want to be able to get more shots. If they're keeping in these lanes and Florida's closing them down, there's not going to be much. Bouchard, he lets the bomb go. Good block by Florida. Bouchard again. This one way wide. It pinballed all the way back into the neutral zone. That at 97 miles an hour. RNH. Now, half spin. Good skate. They'll set it up near the right side of wall. It's Bouchard. Now McDavid. He's on the left. Open Draisaitl. Good save, Bobrovsky.
Oh, quick reactionary save back on time as the pass from McDavid got all the way back over to Draisaitl. That's his spot. Right circle, doesn't matter where he is. He likes that one-timer at Bobrovsky down low. The setup that the Oilers want there.
I don't know what more you can do right there, honestly. If you're McDavid and Draisaitl, you go from right to left. Bobrovsky gets a piece of it with his pretty much arm, not even the glove, able to keep this one out. 6 power play goals, 5-on-1 tees. Draisaitl. Now it's Nico Mikula. Sends it around the end boards. Florida fans on it. This is going to give RNH an opportunity. He's just going to loft it to Draisaitl, go end-to-end on the ice. And now it's McDavid. Half spin, pirouette, McDavid waiting. Now he's on the right side. Shot go. We don't see that very often from Connor. RNH picks it up, sends it behind the end boards. Again, that kind of just shows me that Edmonton's looking for something, anything to find any sort of offense here. Because if you see Connor lighting up bombs, I mean, that's just 1 in a million for me. That's normally wristers all day. Intercepted by Florida. Bennett now off the rush. This one goes across the Karam's force link. Bounce up, stays in play. Darnell Nurse will wash. Again, Florida's penalty kill 40 of the last 40. Anything that Edmonton's done and pretty much apply it the same way. Here is Perry. Tried to toe drag in between his legs, but he ran right into the defense. Good shot, good pass. Verhaeghe now. Verhaeghe backhand. He'll get cut off. The left side of the red line. It's Ekman Larson, D to D. This one, I don't know, Warren Fogle will pick it up. We'll spin it back around for Darnell. Plus 10 in the first. Again, as you mentioned, for the Oilers, -3 for the Panthers. But if they're playing it even and the Oilers don't have an advantage here, that's not good for them. There's a lift in from 150. Bobrovsky will have to play it in his own end. He's going to turn it right over. And this will get saved by Evan Rodrigues. He was the last line of defense there. And here's a poke check a couple of times. Evan tries to get it, but we get an offsides, 6:57.
And this feels like an alternate universe where we see 1, Barkov in the penalty box, and 2, Connor McDavid firing clappers from somewhere. Because it's an alternate universe when you think of McDavid firing clappers.
Yeah.
Normally, those are wristers on the way. But that time, Malkin getting angry on a breakaway fire, short-handed slapper pass in the Philadelphia Flyers goaltender back in 08 in that one playoff series. If you think of that, you have to get a time sheet to go all the way back. Malkin, he got hit pretty hard by Randy Jones on the sequence prior. And then when the Flyers turned it over on the power play, Malkin got sharp and then clap one for the short.
I want to correct myself if I'm wrong, but I know you're the encyclopedia, Alec. Was today one of the days that the Pittsburgh Penguins won a Stanley Cup?
I believe it was the last 2 days. Yesterday it was, which was 2009 one and then 2016 one.
Because I just saw that on the Sportsnet side before we flipped over in the coverage trying to say comeback for Edmonton, and look at what the Pittsburgh Penguins have done. Again, McDavid and Crosby. McDavid idolizes Sidney Crosby, and again, we get an Evgeny Malkin quote there from Alec, and I like that. Again, one of my favorite players to watch as well. No hatred from me, being a diehard Red Wings fan alongside the Pittsburgh Penguins. I have nothing but respect for. I will fully admit to you, for the Edmonton Oilers, I am quite happy with a smile on my face right now, considering that Florida has the lead. I don't want the series to end yet, but I know where my allegiances are.
Well, you may be spot on at that, though. McDavid and Draisaitl with them being the to prime Crosby and Malkin.
Yes.
Not the coaches that we can see, or maybe even past top level Crosby and Malkin. But a dynamic duo like these two, you would think that they'd be able to have the team around them to get them over to the top. Well, as of right now, it's pretty much evenly balanced. And if all things play out with this evenly balanced first 14 minutes of play, I think it'd be a Panthers sort of game.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way too as the minutes and seconds continue to tick down. And I know it's only in the first, but I don't disagree with you at all. As this one is now played in against the wall. Here's a loose puck and an opportunity now to be collected by the Oilers. This is off the half spin. Barkov will pick it up. Evan Rodrigues. This is not a bad pass, but this will be ice nonetheless. Offensive zone draw.
I don't know if it was deflected off of either, was it Reinhardt or was it Kulak? Because that was the confusion there on the tip and on the way to the icing, because who knows who had the last touch on it. But they're going to say, as it is called, I don't feel that referees are going to waste any sort of time reviewing who had the last touch.
No, they're not. And again, the one thing I want to pick up here as far as these dump-ins and these chances, Florida, it looks like they have now, and they're looking for some outstretched passes to score. You want to make sure, at least for me, for my eyes, Alec, don't get caught on a breakout pass, because I think Florida is really looking for it right now in Game 3.
And they don't want to, as such as Evan Rodrigues, as we noted in Game 2, being the hero of that game. He blocks a vicious clapper from Matthias Ekholm on the one-timer for the point. Evan Bouchard, 28 shot attempts, 17 got blocked in this series, 9 of which went at least 90 miles an hour. But this is the first time that we are going to be guaranteed that the first name Evan appears on the Stanley Cup, and feel that guy, whether it be 2 goals in Game 2 or a block from a shot from the point.
That's very cool, Alec. Very much appreciated for that shout out, because nobody better than Evan Rodrigues. And let me tell you this: lines 1 through 4, power play, penalty kill. Verhaeghe shoots wide. Rodrigues does it all. Tkachuk makes a play, falling down, able to keep this one in the zone. Again, the forecheck for the Florida Panthers. I keep punching the button, but I have to. They're just so good across all 4 lines of creating havoc. Here's McDavid, what a move, but there was 3 Panthers in his face. He toe dragged past 2, and then 3 more were right there. A little bit of a cross check. It's Bouchard, faked the slap pass, and that probably should have been a shot near the right post. Nonetheless, Bouchard keeps it in, and this will be hand grenaded back down deep for Ekholm. Ekholm's pass is picked off, but this will be sent in and iced. That's not good there. Florida's going to get an offensive zone draw.
Going back over to Evan Rodrigues, the type of player that you want on the team. Swiss Army knife who can do it all, as you noted.
Yeah, he is. Again, he mentioned it alongside Emily Kaplan there in the previous game. He goes, I don't care if it's lines 1 through 4. I'm brought in to do whatever they ask. And Paul Maurice said in his first tour of duty here, he might have been one of those guys that was a little apprehensive. Now he's taking his chances. He's turned himself into a complete player. We need him on this team. He impacts us a lot, and we love having him. And again, those are pretty good words to say, as Bobrovsky will take a long. Or is going to get tied up with Hyman, but everybody will push away from this.
That was a dangerous catch over that Wayne Gretzky statue, and one the Buffaloes over in Edmonton. But this is a very famous play. They're going to have a penalty call right afterwards. Is it a slash, they say?
We were going to go to break, and then when I'm listening to Sean McDonough and Ray Ferraro alongside our coverage, it looks like Montour got it. And we're going to have to see what engrossed this. I'm trying to see Montour here, so he gets the push against Hyman. I still don't see the slash, but whatever it is, it wasn't needed, and that's going to put Edmonton in another power play.
Are we seeing a role reversal because Zach Hyman just got into Brandon agitating Montour? It feels like a role reversal. We didn't see the slash, but whatever happened after the video feed was cut off, perhaps that's where the slash came. It's a role reversal.
It is a role reversal. We're seeing some of that. We're seeing Barkov in the box. We're seeing McDavid slappers. I think it's a little bit of the Twilight Zone.
Stranger Things.
Yes.
Ice hockey edition.
Absolutely. And we'll see if any of these teams can take advantage of it. Hell, this is the Edmonton Oilers' second power play. Again, I mentioned the first. If not now, when? Well, it's certainly got to be right now, point blank, with 5:14 left to go in the first. There's Alec on the power play for the Edmonton Oilers. Would you agree?
Yeah, it is. If you didn't get it the first time around, you want to get it this time around. He didn't score the first one, but you did get some good looks. Connor McDavid on his clapper. He almost had one. Evan Bouchard of a drive 97 miles an hour. You have the looks, just got to find the lane. And to break that undefeated streak for the Florida Panthers this postseason with Dan O'Rourke as the referee. 4-0, while the Oilers, they're 0-4 with O'Rourke as one of the two referees in a game. Interesting fact. And what does that have to do with correlation in this game? Probably nothing.
Well, I still appreciate that nonetheless. Again, Montour with a wow. That was I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here for the Florida. Soft call.
We didn't even see a splash there. It came from Hyman on the first West. That was not a splash there, John.
No, honestly not. I'm not trying to root for either one of these teams, but I don't want to see something that soft be called. But again, we are in Edmonton, so who knows? McDavid across the right side. He'll drop the Leon Draisaitl. Sweet head fake as it's McDavid. Now for Bouchard. Back to Connor, number 97. Will make the pass. This is one touch too many. Draisaitl will get it back. Shoot the puck at the net, but I'm not seeing much of a change here. McDavid now. Draisaitl. Here's Bouchard near the high point. It's Leon near the right side dot. Here's a wrister. This one blocked. Now McDavid picks it up. Back to Evan. Now Connor. He's got it in between the dots. They'll back up off the back skate. Where's the shots? McDavid off the spin. It's a minute exhausted. As RNH will get this one across. Leon Draisaitl. Now Bouchard off the back skate. Back to McDavid near the right dot. Pass across. Crowd's got to be getting restless because I am. Draisaitl now. In between the circles, it's McDavid. High slot Draisaitl. He's got to spin and turn. Florida is right in their face. They got to break it up here and get the shots on the net. Bouchard fake the slap pass. He'll let it go now. Bobrovsky with the kick save. High slot. Bouchard crisscross McDavid. McDavid now right dot. Back to Evan. Now Draisaitl 1-T. Easy stop there for Draisaitl wants to shoot from on the right dot. Down to 10 seconds. Draisaitl now across the wall. And I have to say this, unless they keep it in, a very poor power play right now for Edmonton, as it's Hyman. Draisaitl now. In between the deflection, Bobrovsky's got it. Is waved off. Connor McDavid was right there. Bobrovsky makes the save, but that took way too long to develop, and they didn't get near enough.
Actions always speak louder than words. If you say you're going to shoot more at the net, you have to mean it with a purpose.
Yes.
That's why too much passing, not enough setups. That's why I always say actions speak louder than words. It was pass. When Draisaitl found McDavid right across, and McDavid tried to go opposite side. You had an open net over the far side. I feel there was selection.
Now Bobrovsky, this one gets tipped away from him, and now Florida. They can kill some time off the one. He's on his feet. Connor McDavid, 12 shots on goal, 18 attempts, no goals. Can't just be him, though. It's got to be everybody else, although they do need him. This is Florida right side, but a 5-on-5 power play, something has to be the advantage because of nothing scoreline. Florida's going to take this all day into the dressing room in the last 2:35 if it stays there. Nikola now spun around here for the Oilers, kept to the outside as they're waiting for a D-to-D one-timer. There's all sorts of traffic in front of Bobrovsky. Now they'll fire it at the net, and Bobrovsky gets cleaned up near the post. I'm surprised. Again, we are in Edmonton. How that's not called as Bobrovsky gets knocked down. And that's not even at the point where we talked about his skate blades for a couple games. He got pasted into the boards off of a check as it's 2 minutes left to go in the first. Now sent back behind the inboards. Picked up by They'll have to recheck back in their defensive end for Brendan Montour's. Out as he braces for a big hit. It's turned over, and this will be sent in deep. Opportunity now for the Oilers as Cody Ceci across the right side wall. Tkachuk trying to get this one loose. Montour, and get a piece of it right now. It's loose out in front. Now high slot, slapper off the wall. Wrister, and Montour was cleaned up. We're railing against a pushing and shoving now. Tkachuk's going after Ryan.
Oh, here we go. The battle of Brodeur, at least the extension of it, is back on Tkachuk. Is hot. He's getting full on the ring. He's going after Brett Kulak. He's got him. We don't see any gloves drop, but this is getting ugly, and the officials step in. And we have two players who are down, going right at each other's throats. Once the deliberation were full with Sam Bennett, they were in the midst of it. But this is absolute BS.
Yes, it was, and I want to see what happens here. So Montour gets a hit. This is there for CC for a shot that's saved by Bobrovsky, and a couple extra shoves there for Ryan. Didn't like it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson again. Fogle ran right into the goalie, or Henrique ran into the goalie, excuse me. That's what knocked down Bobrovsky. I think that's kind of set his attitude off.
Bill Colcott may have pushed Henrique up as soon as they onto Bobrovsky directly into him, and I feel we see Kulak in the box. We're going to get any more guys into the box out of this. We're seeing Kulak now. In terms of penalties, we are seeing some more of this. Is Kulak going to get the only minor unless if we see an official explanation from Steve Gazzari and Dan O'Rourke?
If we let's see Matthew Tkachuk in the box for throwing fists.
Oh, you're saying Tkachuk now.
Okay, I think you have to do it that way. Paul Maurice can all he wants, but Kachuk's got to go sit in the sin bin because he was trying to throw bombs on Ryan. Now Ryan, or Kulak, excuse me, and Kulak did get on the other side for Tkachuk. We caught the end of that. Ekman-Larsson, and then Tkachuk wants a piece of Kulak there. All hell didn't break loose, but it was getting pretty close.
This almost reminded me of Fight Night between the Caps and Rangers after the whole Tom Wilson controversy. It felt like someone was taking the role of Tom Wilson.
I think we had to see a little bit of this, Alec, because honestly, as much as Florida is known for this, we really haven't seen any extended fights or any kind of extended physicality after the play through the entire series thus far.
No, I feel it's nice of us and refreshing. And it's refreshing to see some physicality as it.
Here is Draisaitl able to keep the play alive a little bit. 4-on-4 now should give 97 and 29 a lot of room. Bouchard, this is not a good stick handle. Barkov, big body. See if he can hold on to this puck. Sets up Forsling. Tip, scores!
Got another one. Johnny on the spot. He's got up to double digits, I believe, in the goal scoring department in the postseason. Right now, 4-on-4. The Panthers make the most of it.
I'm going to tell you this right now, and I know it's not fair to say in totality because Evan Bouchard was fantastic in the first 3 rounds, but I mentioned his name a couple times as far as lowlights, turning the puck over, not shooting enough, and making some problems there. You got to know who's behind you, and again, in a 4-on-4, he's the last line of defense. You can't, and you give it to Barkov, you know he's a big body, able to keep it alive, and Sam Reinhart gets an easy one.
I was telling my calculations. This is 9th of the postseason. Oh, so close to double digits, he can taste it.
Man, oh man, I don't know what I can say right now for Edmonton, but they're really seconds left and honestly tie it as it's RH. Here's a drop, 4-on-4. Philip, this goes wide of Bobrovsky. Now to the right side, picked up here for Edmonton. Philip Broberg is going to reset this thing. 13 shots to 9 in favor of Edmonton, but Reinhart gets the goal. And that is a critical one there. Near the right side wall, spin McDavid. McDavid turns it over. Florida will have numbers here. Verhaeghe off the sauce. Bennett gets the steal. Down to 6. If you just by Skinner. pushes it the other way. That leads 1-0, a 4-on-4. Good play for Barkov. Sets up Reinhart. That's a killer for the Oilers as they go to break down 1.
Ball wrappers into this, but why? Why do you have the middle of the games in the midst of all of this when we were supposed to have entertaining finals and then you showed up?
Oh no. Did something happen that I missed, Alec? Please elaborate.
Well, nothing to do with the Drake curse, where it keeps placing bets on teams and then they lose.
I got you.
Games. The Mavs are down 3-0 in a hole in the finals. The Oilers are down 2-0, and potentially, if they can't come back to this, potentially find themselves in a 3-0 hole in the Stanley Cup final. But it's a disappointment. But come on, you gotta. I feel this is exactly what Kendrick Lamar was talking about.
Again, I don't want to throw the shade under the bus too much there for Evan Bouchard, but you got to be able to know that you're the last 4-on-4. You can't turn the puck over. I tried to mention it a few times during the broadcast only because Edmonton had talked about it enough and making the adjustments, and Alec mentioned it too, with actions speak louder than words. You say you're going to make the adjustment, you're going to shoot the puck a little bit more at the net, you don't do that. It turns into a goal on your other end. And that's so I'll give you some of the intermission talking points and maybe some other things as well. So Reinhart with his 9th, 1858 from the first from Forsling and Barkov. Barkov essentially set up that whole play. Stuart Skinner, nothing he can do there. 9 out of 10. And honestly, throughout the entire series, bad thing about Stuart, he's been good enough in the series. Bobrovsky, 13 out of 13. Your team stats, 13 shots on goal to 10 in favor of the Oil Kings, 12-11 on hits, 12-8 draws for the Cats. But again, power play 0 for 2.
That does. 0 for 2, especially on one that should not have happened in the first place because of what was a soft call by the officials. The Panthers, they made sure that they would kill it off knowing that the Oilers, they would be limited. But the Oilers, they are more doing setups. You want to shoot more, mean it. You have to shoot more, fire towards the net. To take shots at the more dangerous areas of the ice that feel they're just waiting for the perfect play. You got to time it. You want to time it at a quicker pace.
Yeah, the only shooting that Edmonton did is shooting themselves in the foot in that first, honestly, Alec. That's the way that I see it. Again, I understand a couple of those setups and some chances. Yeah, that's fine. But especially on the power play, when you don't get anything out of that, when you get 2. And this is a power from the last couple of years, but really, Alec, the last, 4 or 5 seasons now, that has been the class of the league, and they are getting completely shut down. And again, we mentioned this, and I'm glad that we did. As far as Edmonton Oilers and their penalty kill and all of that, we told you a million times on the other end for the Florida Panthers. Doing the same damn thing the Edmonton Oilers are in the penalty kill. So you can talk about one storyline as much as you want. You can talk about a Canadian team being in the finals. You can talk about shooting the puck. You can talk about other stuff. But until you actually put your actions into place, it's going to be difficult. That's the only adjustment that I think that the Oilers can actually do in the next 4 days. It's going to be interesting when you take over. They've got to get more activity. It's the same thing I said for Vancouver. They couldn't do that against Edmonton, and Shelovs was held up a few times. You got to get more activity if you're going to beat Bobrovsky. I know he's been brilliant throughout the series, especially in Game 1. Game 2, you put your enough against those wrongs.
You have to. And whatever happens for the Oilers, that you need to right those wrongs in the second period. Find a look on Bobrovsky. This isn't 2006, but you need to use some more of that energy. I feel if you want to keep up that pace for 4 rounds, I feel it's good luck. And the Panthers, they're built for playoff hockey. The Oilers are as well right now, as they're constructed. But you want to turn things around. Get those that you want set up at the perfect area. And don't wait until you, don't wait for the perfect opportunity the extremely perfect opportunity to come. Yeah, I feel you need to, if you want to shoot more, shoot more.
Yeah, you do. Again, I'm going to make a short announcement, and then Alec and I are going to jump into the intermission content. I don't want to make this one long, but I want to throw that out there. I know Alec heard a little bit from me yesterday as far as the hardwood, because I mentioned it at the end. But the Hershey Bears avoided the reverse sweep to the Cleveland Monsters series in 7 games for the AHL Eastern Conference setup. So what that means is they're going to rematch with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. So you'll see the Washington Capitals and Seattle Kraken affiliate do business in the Calder Cup final. So what does that mean for me? As far as NHL Network, if the Stanley Cup finals end quickly and they end by Saturday when Cooper Hopkins joins us, I'm going to be covering that on the NHL Network side. And I hope to do so again because it certainly seems like this one's going to be done. So look out for that in the weeks to follow, and that I might be able to get in on that. Now for news of the day as far as everything leading up to this game 3. Alec already mentioned this a couple days ago about Marty Necas. Now I hear are the Winnipeg Jets that Nikolai Ehlers is also on the trading block.
Wow. I did not expect Nikolai Ehlers to be on the trading block. It filled the collapse. It should not be this bad to where it spark a mass exodus, but if Nikolai Ehlers is the start of it, case scenario is that this playoff collapse will lead to the Winnipeg Jets relocating again. I don't want to say it, but it could spark a domino effect, which is absolute worst case scenario. If Nikolai Ehlers leaves, then perhaps the domino effect ensues, which leads to the absolute worst case being forced out of Winnipeg again.
That would be awful because the only time I ever really see the Winnipeg Jets kind of locking everything and the fans are being there during the one. Because you're right. Other than that, when I watch some of those games on TSN from time to time, I see it about half full, maybe 65% at times. That's not good. And if Nick Ehlers, again, if that's all made official alongside Marty Necas, because Marty Necas is already going to draw enough calls, but Nick Ehlers on there, I guarantee you every single GM phone with Kevin Schultz day off as they try to get a deal done. So small news into the day here, but this is a big one anyway for Carolina because they're able to keep a good defenseman on the board for cheap. So 3-year, $3 million extension, just $1 million a year. But Jalen Chatfield stays in. I think you got to like that one.
Yeah, sneaky signing for a bottom four pairing defenseman. He's upped his game ever since he first landed with Carolina. He originally was a Canuck. But now that he's in Carolina, adjusting himself to a stout defense, he can contribute on both ends of the ice. He chimed in 8 goals and 22 points. If Brett Pesce leaves, there's next man up. Chatfield could likely get bumped up to the second pairing to take Pesce's spot next to. I like this signing for Chatfield. See what he can do for these next 3 years at a $3 million cap hit.
That is pretty good on that set. I want to mention this because it's on the ESPN ticker. Ryan Wolfsofsky will be the head coach for the San Jose Sharks. I didn't have that on my notes as they put that one in today. So mark that in. This is not a surprise, but I threw this in because this was what the Blackhawks want to do. So the Chicago Blackhawks want to continue to aim to support Connor Bedard. That does not come as a surprise, but they are looking for a top and middle six forward this offseason.
Free agency, draft perhaps. I feel in the draft, I may be leaning Artem Levshunov, but if they're going center, free agency, we'll have to look at the free agents that are available, the remaining days of what we have left on Cap Friendly, but also Puckpedia in a sense. But unrestricted free agents, if you're looking at realistic scenarios, we can talk about this, about the free agents that are available among centers. Tyler Johnson, he's a free agent, but he's a veteran presence, aging, 33 years old. A playoff contender could use him. Do remember, if you're looking centers, and this may be among my wildest, Elias Lindholm turned down a 7x7 from Vancouver and an 8x9 from Calgary. Another center who's available, Alex Wenberg. He's available on the market. Jack Roslovic is available. Those are 2 Rangers. And Wenberg, another member of the original Kraken that we discussed about. Adam Henrique, he's available too.
So let me say this. In between Wenberg and Roslovic, I feel like you nailed it as far as at least one of those guys that will be on the Chicago Blackhawks. That's where I'm going to lean. And although it could be a fever dream a little bit for Chicago Blackhawks could offer you whatever you want as far as dollar signs. If that's enough to be able to have Elias Lindholm want to call home, at least he'll get to play alongside Connor Bedard on line numero uno.
Yeah, to be as the centerman and taking the face off, though they want to have Bedard being the Elias Lindholm is a fever dream, and they may take it. It's a minimum.
Yeah, I think the money is going to be limited. They want to continue to try to get to the cap floor again. It's about up again about $3.5 million, as we mentioned. So it might not be as unrealistic as we're painting it out to be. But I will say, between Roslovic and Wenberg, I think you can book it. One of them is going to be a Chicago Blackhawk. And then one last thing for you before I get into the ratings: Kaapo Kakko, $1 million. Maybe approve a deal a little bit, but it's going to keep him New York Ranger through 2025, and I like it.
Yeah, I want to see what he is worth. Continue having him with Philip Keto along the third line. The two thirds of the kid line, knowing that Alexei Lafreniere is graduating from the line and got bumped up to play with Mark Panarin, and he is thriving well with Panarin. To have Kakko kept, you want to see what he can do more. Say if you stick him around over with Keto, the Rangers, I feel they still need to solve that second line winger dilemma.
Yes.
If they can keep around one of those Red Wings to have bumped up, I feel Kakko's natural fit, in my opinion, is with Keto. Keep those two together. Don't break up that lineup.
I agree with you completely as far as their roster construction and what they need. Again, when you get to those bottom lines, when you're away from because of Benajad, Panarin, and Chris Kreider, again, Vinny Trocheck was a Mr. Do-It-All. But outside of all of that, they need more offense from their bottom portion of their lines. They got to find it. I think Kaapo Kakko still has a lot of room to grow. Alexei Lafreniere and Filipino, you don't mess up any of that stuff. You continue to try to figure out what you're going to do in your bottom six. And oh, by the way, because you have Igor Shesterkin, and I will say this now, again, I probably said this a couple of years ago from time to time, he cemented himself as the number one goalie in the
At the playoff run and the latter half of the regular season this season, Shesterkin, he is the best goaltender in the NHL. Some could argue other goaltenders. I feel Shesterkin is the one.
He was the guy that kind of gave them the chance there, and we'll see if it continues. Again, full, and they were heavily out shooting New York and kind of just continuing to play the right way until they finally broke the seal enough. And this is the one last thing that won't come as a surprise, but for those that want it, for the ratings fanatics. So the ratings for the Stanley Cup final for the first two games is up 46%. And again, no surprise here, but we get a Canadian team in the market in the Edmonton Oilers. And also, I will say this, Florida has become a hockey hotbed, so I see that's why there's more eyeballs on the TV sets.
Miami residents should be happy with this, knowing that the Panthers are back to playing good hockey one more time. Gone are the days where it's just that there's only the Heat. Now you have the Panthers in consideration on a perennial basis. You have Jimmy Butler still playing strong with the Heat. Who knows how much for longer? You have Lionel Messi being as dominant as ever with Inter Miami. So hockey and soccer are back at Southern Florida. Namely hockey, which can give South Florida a chance for their first championship since the Heat won it in 2013.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, they had the Everblades able to get one there. They've been doing quite well with the three-peat. And I just saw this go across my screen. And, you know, I told you, again, you know this, I'm not the biggest NFL football fanatic. I do follow a little bit of college here and there. But Trevor Lawrence, 275?
Get paid, young man. I feel this is a move that the Jaguars had to make to establish themselves among a long-term quarterback plan. I feel Trevor Lawrence, I feel he has to do a little more for what it's worth, considering the first thing got with him in his era, 9-8 to the second round, a loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel they need to surround him with more core pieces around the defensive side of the ball. They're good on his side of the ball, but the one playoff game that they won, he turned over the ball 4 times. You don't usually win games like that. Reputation of blowing leads and for squandering opportunities that they should capitalize on. Nothing but painfulness all around. But the Jaguars, I feel they should be content with keeping Lawrence for here. 5 years at $275 million. I don't know if he is worth that much, but you got to take what is given to you. He has a family to provide, and I don't blame him for signing a contract. I just don't know if he's worth $55 million a year.
That's what I was going to ask you. I think he's a good young quarterback. I still think he's got a lot more to prove. I think he's going to be a little bit less injury prone. That's hard to do. But again, at Jacksonville, at times when they've had elite defense and then they don't, it's kind of been back and forth for them. Hopefully they can get some coaching stability. They need that a lot too, as they can make the move going forward.
Peterson has pretty much been a mixed bag. You see the good side of him and you see the bad side of him. He's a mixed bag of results. At his highest, he can take you to the peak. That is the playoffs. At the lowest, it's exactly the reason why Philadelphia ran him out of town. He's a good coach for what it's worth. I just don't need him to take you over the top for what it's worth around. The deal Philadelphia, combined with him, MVP level Carson Wentz, and a great defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. I feel the Eagles that year, they had all the balanced tools to make it to the Super Bowl. The Jaguars, I feel they need a little more after weapons, but I feel something may be missing in them.
Yeah, because it's that part of the division there for Jacksonville that should be more open for them to compete with instead of what they've been showing. And I agree. It seems like something is missing. And just one last thing. I know this was already noted today, but I know we're getting set to close in on the second period. Tom Brady, as it was announced by Robert Kraft, he's going to get his number inducted in Gillette Stadium. That is not a surprise at all, but it was cool to see the GOAT get a little bit misty-eyed on that end. He did just have to deal with the roast there on the net, and then now he gets his number retired.
As he should be. It is the only option for New England to retire his jersey number. He embodies the spirit of New England and Boston. He knows leadership. He knows championship experience, setting a number of individual and team records with the team. Was the only option for the Patriots to do. Hats off to Coach.
So we are going to start to see players coming back onto the ice. To look at some camera shots here. Sergei Bobrovsky, I don't want to be disingenuous and say that he hasn't been good to start this game, because he did have a couple one-timers stop like David and Draisaitl, but that was after the power play had been set up and a couple of chances. Cody CC again, we see him get late, as Alec and I had talked about. And on this previous portion of the rush, Bouchard turns it over. Barkov, Forsling, and what was from Forsling and Reinhardt. I mean, that is gorgeous.
And what a pass breakup. Center Barkov at his own end to stop Evan Bouchard. That led to the transition to set up Gustav Forsling. Forsling saw the approaching Reinhardt. Reinhardt lays stick out. Boom.
So perfect spot there. Edmonton only down one. I have to punch that button again as Alec gets sent to take over. They really need to find something, because we get to the third, we know what Florida is capable of. Alec, take it away. Edmonton needs this.
Here we go. The Oilers in the royal blue and the orange numbers. Panthers in the white with the red stripes. I'm Alec Nava alongside John. We are still up because of the extracurriculars between Brett Kulak and Magic and Chuck that led to it being 4-on-4 for the sequence. Both teams have scored on a 4-on-4 here in the Stanley Cup final this year. Evan Bouchard turns it over to Forsling. Panthers able to keep right around their own end. But through, this is Verhaeghe. Gave it back over to Connor McDavid. McDavid powering through. We go on to 5-on-5. McDavid with 3 shots and 5 scoring chance go up as well. Here's Reinhardt. He wants to brace. And the centering pass did not get on to Reinhardt. He was looking for a deflection. Sam Bennett canceled off by Connor McDavid. These two know each other well dating back to the Battle of Alberta years. So do McDavid and Matthew Tkachuk. Tkachuk will have his teammate Bennett get this puck. The cross-ice pass on the entry. It is Tkachuk, but an offside is signaled.
So what is awaiting the Edmonton Oilers after the first period? Are plus 25 in goal differential the rest of the way. Edmonton is just even. Even is not going to be nowhere near good enough right now. So this is an important latter stage of this 20 minutes.
Eva's not going to break it here. Even though they're down by just one, you have believed that firepower, some more willpower. This was sent deep to the far corner. Nick was all tied up. Bennett looks to clear. Verhaeghe canceled off. This goes back to Edmonton on the keep. On the right side, look at his center, a backhand shot, and a save by Bobrovsky to make his way onto the back of the crease. Kachuk out inside the left point by Fogle, immediately finds Hyman. Hyman tied up by Brodeur. Nico wants to clear, swiped away it. This goes to the far side, or it's Mr. Clutch. Set off through onto the logo, bouncing puck. Bennett goes back, and lead the way is Mikla. Will leave it off for one-timer. Sam Bennett smokes this one up high and cleared out. And this is a break. Here comes Warren Fogle to tie the game. Yes, sir! Warren Fogle has tied it.
We don't care who it is. You get a chance off the rush, you best not miss. And where was this one? Roofed. Exactly what we talked about. You get time and space to shoot. What poise. Fogle looked as good as McDavid and Draisaitl on that one.
He just knew it was coming eventually. We talked about the free breakaway stops for Sergei Bobrovsky in game one. This time, Fogle made no mistake. He was one of those who might have been canceled out previously. And Fogle, the ex-Hurricane, he fired at towards the squeezed it right between the glove hand and the left pad of Sergei Bobrovsky, the former Vezina winner. Adam Henrique only assists, and we are back to square exactly what the Oilers need. It might be a second to playoffs, but it's the biggest goal, perhaps, of the Oilers season. Cleared out. Lundell will look to restart. Sent back. Kulikov a little too hot to handle. Chased after by Henrique. Tarasenko. Oh, canceled off by Matthias Janmark, and this goes around. Big hit by the big body Janmark, the X-Star. Moved up front. Here's Lundell, coast to coast. 2 on. It was Tarasenko who lost leverage on that, and the Oilers get this one out to center. Ekbat almost intercepted. Connor Brown got it back, and Henrique shoots over in the far corner. Fourth wing again. Setting up front. Waits for this. On for Ekblad. Aaron Ekblad leads the way for Kyle Okposo. The ex-save Okposo. Contract. Save Skinner. Stanley runs it down a little too late. And with a sharp angle, no room to fire there. Oilers get this one through. For the near side, Draisaitl. 200. That was actually Nurse. Kevin Stenless point the gap. Can't do much there as he got canceled out. What is it is Okposo. Okposo roofs one. Swept away by Skinner and the Oiler defenseman. Corey Perry turnaround pass. Good poke there. No! Way out. For the Panthers will not by much though, but a good job by Corey Perry to force that.
As we take a look at Fogle's chance, I mean, he's just almost near the slot, just outside the circle. It's going to take an absolutely perfect shot to get near the right side glove there, but that's exactly what Fogle does as the outside crowd in Edmonton and Rodgers erupted in a frenzy.
The fifth breakaway goal on 13 attempts for Warren Fogle, including the regular season. He can be dangerous in that department. Carolina knows it. Edmonton. Far side, Barkov sticks his one away. Sent right back over to Brodeur. Lead the way is Reinhardt. Chasing after it is Evan Almighty, Evan Rodrigues. I don't want to make a reference to the movie. The staring Steve Carroll, but I might as well would. It goes back over to Brodeur. Chopper deep right point. Skinner trapped it. Rodrigues like a tucket. Skinner shut the door on him. He wants no more after what Rodrigues did in game 2. Swipe over to the far side. Philip Broberg leads the rush. As through the Oiler bench, sets it down. Bobrovsky will let this one go. Chopped around, and it's for Sasha, who clears it out. Recollected by Corey Perry, back in his own zone, and for Matthias Ekholm, to Bouchard. Draisaitl leads the way. The ex-Predator, Matthias Ekholm, looks to center off through. Right around for the Boars, he was looking for Draisaitl, but the bouncing puck got this up for Montour. And for the far side, cross-ice pass on the dump in. Bennett chasing after it, swapped away, and Oilers get this one out to center, bounce forward. Pass right, Nugent-Hopkins, and a foot race. Verhaeghe got there first, beating out his teammate, Forsman. At the near Boars, half Boars, this is Bennett, who gets it out all the way. But here's the most dangerous player on the ice right now, McDavid. Sends this one in on to Bobrovsky. Eric Ekblad gets one through Verhaeghe. Canceled out by Ekholm. Gets knocked loose. This is over for Zach Hyman. Hyman still with this one. Active stick on it. Ekholm looking to through a slow shot. Easy save there by Bobrovsky. Much high danger for there. Hyman and McDavid tied up, trying free. This goes over to, I believe, was Kachuk, who gets for this. 5 minutes gone here in period number 2, and Warren Foegele has the answer to Sam Reinhart, and we get an offside on the way. 5-7 gone to second.
So again, I think the pacing and everything else is still fine right now for Edmonton. They finally get the answer that they're looking for with full. That is the only difference that, again, we talked about Edmonton needs to make. They just need to get something proactive on the scoreboard. They finally get one. It's to their point now, like, continue this pace, continue everything that they're doing, and make sure at the same time they can hold Florida and not give them anything too.
And speaking of who, Foegele is back onto the ice right now. And he's set to take this piece out is Derek Wright, who was on the other side of the Battle of Alberta with Calgary previously before he joined Edmonton. And before that, his original team was the Carolina Hurricanes. Joined the NHL in the late stages, back when he was. So, entry B, Foegele lost an edge. OEL will pick it up at the far corner. Canceled out by Ryan. It is Foegele on the whole bouncing puck for Dylan Holloway. Hey, Bobrovsky. Got them in by Dmitry Kulikov. And we got an unsettled Kulikov bear hugging Dylan Holloway.
He just really each other in a long time. I'm just kidding. It's only been a few minutes. This was Holloway right there at the doorstep. Good shot. This was Ryan. He's got to go ahead trying a loose puck. Florida's obviously going to take exception to that as we had a mad scramble.
And Holloway had the right idea. Shoot. That's his vulnerable area. Shoot it high. You want to do that more and more.
You have to continue to do that when you get your time and space to shoot and aim. Florida has dealt with Bobrovsky having to make a few saves and keep their bacon alive here in Edmonton. Now they're finally starting to find some of those lanes to shoot to get time and space. If you're Florida, you have to start cutting some of that down.
So opposed are on the base. We'll do this over again. It is Lundell and Ryan at the right circle. Tie up, it is Lundell. This lands on to Kulikov as Ryan fell down. Luostarinen tied up and canceled out bench. Edmonton picks it back up. You can imagine that they may be energized right now. For how long? Considering Florida has the upper hand on third periods. Chopped around the far half boards. Still loose. Foegele trying to outmuscle his way past Ekman Larson, and that was right. He gets back up. He'll make his way over to the bench as the Oilers change. Florida trying to catch them on a bad change. Cody Ceci backhands run along over to the near corner. Race for this puck. Brett Kulak gets this one out. A foot race ensues. Sent inside by Janmark. Nick was the first there. Deflect this one away from Brown. Janmark got after it. Here's Brown on the far corner. Across for Janmark. Trying to stuff it in. Can't do it. It's bounced out to the right point. And for Janmark, tied up by a post. So bouncing puck behind Skinner. Connor Brown also tied up. That was Montour on him. Off for the point once more. Here's a deep shot deflected onto Bobrovsky, who's scrambling right after. Henrique tried to book it free. And this lands onto Bobrovsky and Connor Brown. Not much, but Adam Henrique and Kevin Stenlund still going.
Now, Bobrovsky got right out of the way as everybody continued to meet up there at the mines. And Bobrovsky's goal creases, they show the Foegele chance one more time. But honestly, as we get set to go to break, Alec, this is a check mark box from front, getting those chances where they shot high, as we've talked about, and getting chaos in front of Bobrovsky. This is a good start.
So far, so good here in this second period as they got the first goal here in this middle frame with Warren Foegele. But usually, being behind after the Florida Panthers is usually trouble, knowing that they last lost the game when Trilly went up ahead in regulation since 2023 against Vegas. That's usually not a good sign of things. The only losses that Florida suffered, overtime.
I know people talking about the scoreline, maybe like a 5-2 type of deal. That's why I think Edmonton That's what I said going into the Open. Needs to have one of these games. Now, Florida is not going to allow them to do that, but that's essentially what Edmonton needs to do so they can stay away from that third period when Florida pretty much hounds you and forces you to give up a couple goals. Now, they're on their way here in this second for more chances. If they keep playing this way, I think they're going to get another one.
They might. If they can get the hope back here at Rogers Place dating back to years of the likeliest of times, knowing that their best player that year, Henrique.
It's been a long time since I heard the name Alashemsky. You'd have to go back to like old EA Sports games when you're doing team rebuilds. But that was the life for the Edmonton Oilers back then before you had all these other picks and you're bringing in McDavid and Hall and Leon Draisaitl, and that's what you've had to work with now. This is probably the best team that they've had since the Wayne Gretzky-led Oilers. They're up against it right now, but this Game 3 is a must-win. And they're right there. It's 1-1 with 13:28 left in the second. Alex can take the second period for us as Emily Kaplan's talking with Kris Knoblauch.
That's not to mention about that 06 Stanley Cup final team where Edmonton having Chris Pronger. That gets lost in the midst of things, but Pronger, knowing that he is one of the top defensemen of those ages and a leader at his own end. Here's Sam Reinhart. In goals per game this postseason, the Oilers are 2.55 at home. That average jumps up to 4 goals per game as Stuart Skinner stops Sam Reinhart. He was looking for his brace, but so Skinner shuts him down. The Oilers, that goals per game total, good news if you're.
Yes, it is. And the other thing I mentioned about Florida as far as the scoreline and the predictions, Florida can also play a type of up and down game as well. So we could see one of these games at Rogers getting wild. I'm not saying it will, but it could happen.
I have this funny feeling, but I'll explain it to you later. But as the Panthers, when it's so cleanly that there's a foot race between Nico and Ryan McLeod, McLeod shuts him away, but that allows Evan Rodrigues to pick it up. Reinhart sends it over to Nico, and then back for Reinhart, who directs his runner out for the near board. First to it was Barkov, trying to find a return feed for Reinhart. Rodrigues sends one down over to Reinhart behind the net. From Gretzky's office, can't do much with it. Offense's own time has been reversed here. 7:36 for the Oilers, 4:20. Sends up Gretzky's office, can't find a feed in front. Big blast of goal. He was looking for the punch and can't get it. Evan Bouchard over to far wall. Draisaitl tied up. Perry as well. This goes over to Draisaitl, far corner. This bounced up with Rodrigues and onto his stick. He carries it across the red line. And kicked out by Skinner. Rodrigues tried to poke it forward. Instead, he and his line mates would go for a change. The Oilers trying to catch him here. Zach Hyman's in. Hyman from behind the net looks to set up over the near corner. Now sends one over to the far point. Evan Bouchard makes the drive. Now sends one in on Bobrovsky. And he shuts it down with 12:05 left.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about with Evan Bouchard there as far as the hesitancy. Why fake the drive? Just take it there. Even if you don't have the deflection completely set up, the rebound's possible where if you shot it right away, you could have slammed it into an empty net.
And essentially, if we do know about the ginormous trade, that which can be a high-risk trade, it has me the feeling that Matthew Tkachuk in this situation is the hockey equivalent of Leonard, and Jonathan Huberdeau is the hockey equivalent of DeMar DeRozan in such a situation. But David down low, Nugent-Hopkins, excellent block. A shot. Here's Verhaeghe. Can't split the defense. Oilers, great job at getting back. Danuge gets up. This goes past Hyman. Bouchard's going to go on for a change. The Panthers have it again. Ekblad, the first overall pick of 2014. Sends one across, and this goes over to the trapezoid. Rico and turn it over to Sam Bennett. The last player you want to turn it over to outside of Barkov. And Tkachuk's playing the best here. The Oilers can't get a rebound. Bobrovsky, 2 great saves on a breakaway chance. If this goes down, but the Oilers had 2 good looks. Zach.
I know Zach Hyman got robbed in game 1, but this was probably the best chance that he's had since then. Off the break, there was Kulikov right there just enough as you got a glove save, and then a second opportunity was also stopped by Bobrovsky, but maybe just enough to allow Zach Hyman to not get off the move that he wanted.
Along the second Gwen. got up on his own. Have a false start on the face-up. So I have to do it over again. But Hyman and Bobrovsky got helped out a bit by Kulikov. So might need to give him a pat on the back.
Draisaitl and Bennett in on the draw. Looks like we're going to do it again.
Oh. Florida scored 19 shots in Game 2. They have corrected from 18 to 19 in Game 2. They have 20 shots here this far in Game 3. We're not even at the halfway mark of regulation.
Yeah, I want to say this right now because I gave them a lot of props in Game 1. This is officially the best game that I've seen the Oilers play. Why? Because you got one on the board and you're out shooting Florida. You got to keep it going.
So that checks out both the check mark boxes. This time we will not have a do-over. Desperate times in charge. Leon Draisaitl knows that we struggled on the face-off the last 4-13. So up this goes. Radko Gudas. I almost fought him. Knowing that the number 7 is Bobrovsky. I confused Dmitry Kulikov for Radko Gudas. Gudas isn't done. And I hereby apologize to Radko Gudas if he goes back and listen to this. The Panthers score! Tarasenko, just as I was rambling about Gudas.
Well, I'm going to tell you this because you're going to see a wonderful camera shot of a sad Oilers fan. And I got to be thinking the same thing. And this is right off the rush. Guess who starts it again? It's Lindell. Stuart Skinner misplays it and he can't get back into his goal crease. That's one easy goal for Tarasenko.
Oh, you got to stay your net.
Yeah.
Stuart Skinner. He overplayed that one.
Yes, he
I know
did.
Steve Dangle is trying to say a certain phrase that I will not name, but you got to stay in your net. This is one of the few goals you can say this.
The first time in this series, I'm going to say that, you know what the crazy part was, Alec? I was going to say Edmonton needs to play well enough so Stuart Skinner can maybe have one of these back. And you cannot give that back up now as Edmonton is going back to the attack.
Oh, that was a gimme there for Tarasenko. He did not miss on that. But Stuart Skinner, he has to stay in his net. You can't overplay this puck. Don't overcommit to such. It's the silly mistakes that can be the difference maker. Nearly halfway through regulation, it's chopped out. It's a foot race. Ekholm has it. Back in his own zone. Beating out Kyle Post, who's looking for his first Stanley Cup. Last time he's been in the playoffs, it was the New York Islanders winning their first playoff series in 23 years. 2016, that was. But with this, with 10:06 to go in the second, send it over to far side. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Stopped by Sasha Barkov. McDavid looks to help out the Nuge. Sent it deep near corner. Boar's been tied up. In the way there, McDavid joins in. Back to the Duke. Price goes back over to the point. Bouchard trying to walk his way around Reinhardt. Bouchard doesn't find open room. It's one-timer. Up high. This goes back over to the left point. Fight around. And this goes over to the opposite corner. Brodeur listed out on the backhand. Right by Brodeur Nurse, who is back with us. Nurse leads the way over to Connor Brown. Brown up through. Sam Bennett poked it away. Aaron Ekblad helped out. Held inside by Nurse. Let's put over to this goes over to Verhaeghe. Verhaeghe getting clear. This goes through. Gets it back. First pass doesn't go. The second one does. Here is Ekblad. In pursuit was the Nuge and his fight around. Oilers moved this one around over to the near corner. Nurse over to the Sidman side. Rush for this Janmark. Bodied up by Corey Perry with whatever gas he has left, trying to stick with Kulikov. Kulikov stayed with us the entire way. They give it a go. Brett Kulak rushing in. Just sent off a Skinner and played over behind the net by Perry. Recollected over to near half boards. McLeod just gave it away over to Lindell. Good stick in the way. Corey Perry sandwiched towards the boards. And a rush for this puck. This went on across Luostarinen. Overskated it. And tapped backwards over to Kulikov across for OEL. Right back for Kulikov. Moved up through. No partial break. Skinner swiped away from Tarasenko. Was looking for a brace. Sam Ryer's wanting a brace. Senko was wanting a brace. So is Warren Fogle. Draisaitl back at the point. This goes right back over to him. Now Skinner's on in front. Perry tied up. Draisaitl gets it back. Draisaitl takes it back over to the point. Kulak right across. Cody Ceci canceled out. Behind the net, McLeod sticked away onto her. The far half boards Luostarinen shoved up. 8 minutes to go here in the second period. We got a ferocious puck battle with Draisaitl. Trying to go after this, ball goes well. A poke at it, Florida secures, and to get it out. The Oilers recollect, looking to tie it again. No intercept, no Luostarinen got a stick on it. This went down through the boards. Brodeur fired it away, bombed it away, and he inadvertently iced it.
I'm going to say this to you because I mentioned Bouchard a couple times already, but the giveaway and then Barkov and then the tip deflection goal in the first. Now Stuart Skinner goes and tries to play the puck because we're seeing it now, and it goes back in for Tarasenko to get one of the easiest ones of all time. Both of the Florida goals that have been scored have been awful giveaways by Edmonton.
I got to say now, if your goaltender can the goal, I don't want to say it, but I had to. I felt tempted to. Tired Panthers on the ice. The Oilers gain some more attacking time. McDavid's back out there. Trying to set up for Hyman. Can't. Was cut off by Cole. McDavid once again from Gretzky's office. Spins that one Panther. Trying to do for the dirty work. Bobrovsky read that. This goes back over to Echo. Backhand along Cole. Hyman. I stick it away. And this goes back over to Montour. Montour sweated over to Okposo. Bouncing puck goes out over to the Oiler logo. 7 minutes ago, canceling that pass away was Okposo. This goes back over to Bouchard. Leading the way. No icing as Hyman was there first. Bobrovsky knew it. Far corner. Oilers tied them up. So it stays in. Long shot blocked away and lifted out. Partial break. Here's Alexander Barkov. On his way through. Backhanded it wide. Reinhardt's on the game for the far half boards. Sent it on through, broke it up, and the Oilers will get this one on through the leg and change. Bobrovsky sends it backwards over to Reinhardt, and goal differential by period in the playoffs. The Oilers plus 10 the second period, but here's where it lies out the most. The Panthers plus 17 the third, the Oilers minus 11. No one-timer there for Matt Tkachuk. Oliver Larson ups away, recollected by Brodeur. This goes over to the near corner. Ferocious puck battle. Brodeur has it swiggling behind the net. The Panthers are over. This is Tkachuk recollecting. Out in front. Score! Sam Bennett off the feed from Matthew Tkachuk. The one.
Well, that escalated quickly, did it not? We've been talking about it all night for the Florida Panthers and their ability, especially in this game, but in totality, hunting pucks, forcing turnovers. Darnell Nurse can't get the puck out of the zone, and then bang, bang, right in the back of the net. Good shot, Bennett, right through Nurse's legs. How do you do?
And as a how do you do mode for Tkachuk and Bennett, that dynamic duo getting back to the Calgary days, wanting their revenge on the Oilers after that battle of Alberta defeat 2 years prior with Bennett. On the Panthers, though, Tkachuk, he was one of those remaining members of the old Flames core. 6-game point streak for Bennett. On goal number 7 of the playoffs, it connected nicely. 4 overtime marathon winner for Tkachuk. First point this series. And for those who are saying and trying to point Tkachuk into a similar light as Jason Tatum.
Yeah, exactly. He's always making impact on the ice. They're always making impact on the hardwood. I don't get it myself, but there you go. Look at the scoreboard once again.
52-0-3 when leading by at least 2 goals this season, including the playoffs. Wonder how this going to sustain knowing the cap crush that's going to come next season for both sides between the Panthers and Oilers. But feel if the Panthers hold on, I feel this series could be a very short one, which is very disappointing to say the least. The Oilers have one multi-goal comeback win. That was game 4 against Dallas, but against Florida, good luck on that. Loose stick on the ice. This was up and over to the far corner. Matthias Janmark, all tied up. Connor Brown, Oliver Larson pinning in. Janmark, the wall. Cleared out. Race for this puck. Luostarinen, burst of speed. Tie up. They get the handle. Kolak. Sam Bennett tried to press. Tried to hard. Moving through. Ekblad will recollect. This goes on back. Tkachuk. Cast it off by Ekholm. As Draisaitl along through. To the near boards. Take them on the far side. And swipe. 4:50 to go in the period. We'll take a stoppage.
Yes, we will. Again, when I watch Tkachuk and Bennett, I mean, that's like mosquitoes and a whole thing of humans. And what I mean by that is you're going to make contact, you're going to do damage, and you're going to cause problems. Boy, oh boy, every time they're on the ice for the Panthers. And I know you mentioned it. I know the salary cap is. If I'm Florida and I'm Zito and I'm Reese and I go into my battle plans and say, what do I want to do with this team? Well, I thought they made great additions alongside Mikkola, Oliver Ekman, Larson, getting a defenseman on the back end that didn't cost too much and had a lot of speed. I'm going into next year. I don't want to change a damn thing, Alec. I think they could win this again.
And the priorities, they would come with Reinhart, Lundell, and Montour. Those are the three top priorities. The Panthers, they're so loaded, and they could possibly be repeat Stanley Cup champions. So who knows? It's easier said than done.
Sure.
The hardest task is to win the Stanley Cup. An even harder task than that is to make a final to defend a title. And for who knows, whatever it is for the Oilers, even though you are down in the Stanley Cup final, I feel that the Oilers, no matter what happens, they can look at this run with pride, knowing that they made it back. And perhaps some moments dating back onto this is their best shining moment in the McDavid era. So I feel no matter what happens, no shame on them.
Yeah, you got to improve on this, and we'll talk about in the second intermission topics. But you mentioned alongside Lundell and Reinhardt and some of the other pieces. I mean, you sit down with those guys, you get a contract done. Maybe these guys take a little, and you have that luxury to do so because when you win a lot of games, guys take less and they want to come and play for you. Florida should be able to keep their team together. I see no reason why they need to make too many changes.
And feel, let's be honest, John, if this was Florida and Dallas, this could be even more entertaining, arguably so.
I wanted to say that. I'm glad that you mentioned it first because I didn't want to feel like a you-know-what by saying it, but I agree. I think that's the matchup I'm also a little bit disappointed in Dallas, but good for Edmonton to make it this far.
We can say the same thing in the NBA between Boston and Minnesota, or even Boston and Denver, knowing that those two matchups are more intriguing than what we're getting right now, though. The Mavericks did make it intriguing here in Game 3 and Game 2. Unfortunately, 2-on-1. Here's Evan Rodrigues. Alexander Barkov scores! On the 2-on-1, the Panthers continuing to run hot.
Big smile on my face, Mr. Nava. You know why? Alex Barkov. He gets run at by Leon Draisaitl that leaves his feet. Take this. Right off the rush from Evan Rodrigues is a 2-on-1. No mistake. No extra pass needed. I'm going to roof this thing past a helpless Stuart Skinner. That is how you do it.
Oh, just stop it already, Panthers. Stop. The Oilers already on the ground. Stop.
What's the meme on The Simpsons? Stop it, he's already dead.
Oh, goodness, this is brutal. We're going to see a Stanley Cup final matchup. We are getting a short series. I thought this would be more competitive. Unfortunately, reality is often disappointing, says Banners. 4-1 the lead now for Florida. 7 goals in the playoffs. More Barkov is Brodeur. Move around. Kachuk canceled off. He's on his feet. He gets back up. No worse for wear. And the Oilers are waiting around looking to find something perfect to go through. Connor McDavid gets a tight shot right on Bobrovsky. That went out of play. 3:55 to go. But this is went from ugly to just stop this already.
Hey, I mean, that's big time, you know what, for the Florida Panthers to play a road game and to play it that well like this. They're able to survive that first period, essentially. You get all that energy. You see all out of the building right now. This is our house, say the Florida Panthers. This is fantastic stuff.
It is masterful performance from the Panthers as they're closing up the Oilers. You know, Matt, I know with the Oilers, for as good as they are talent-wise, imagine the team that's just as talented plus deeper than the Oilers. Plus with this skill and a great tenacity, speed, skill, and size, all combined to one, plus the agitation factor of what seems to be 3 times as many Brad Marsh shots on one team.
Right.
Against the Florida Panthers. Anton Lundell from his own end, cycled out, awkward center, sends one in. The Panthers, they you run out the rest of the second period, and they may look no go worse for wear in the third period, but you cannot let your foot off the gas pedal. Sent in. Ego. This one canceled out, moved up. Steven Lawrence, Kevin Stanley, chopped around several times, went to an open Okposo. Okposo might have sent this over to the benches. 2:59 to go here on the second period. The Panthers, they could win their first Stanley Cup. We don't know into a game 5, but this is looking uglier and uglier every passing minute.
Yeah, you said it, Alec, and I'm glad that you get to say it all the time because I agree with you. But let me just mention this. Florida last year beat up against Vegas. I'm not saying Florida could have done this to Vegas last year. I think it would have been a little bit more competitive, but they were on that side of it. You remember the victory lap that Vegas was essentially able to take against Florida last year? That didn't feel very good. Well, you're righting all those wrongs right now. And health and a buy-in and a mindset, that means a lot. And again, you mentioned it. As far as Florida and all their depth, look, Alec and I can grant you this. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are the two best players in this series. Although I could put Barkov in that same mention. But the point being is this. How long before you got to scroll back down for the Florida Panthers? You say it's the next best player on the Edmonton Oilers. You made that point eloquently. This team is so deep. They're so good. They got stars all the way across the board. Their defense is locked in. Their goaltending's fantastic. They're just too much better than the Oilers.
And to not sugarcoat it, that the Panthers, with all the depth that they have, the wrong team made it to the finals.
Yeah, that team was not ready to play. I really don't think so, Alec. Again, I can get full marks on the other side for winning an executive of the year, but you said it a couple seasons ago. We didn't say it as much against Peter DeBoer because they played quite well, but they fumbled the bag.
Yeah, they did. And it looked like they have it all but one. Everything just falls apart because, when it's noted, with Peter DeBoer, he's a good coach,
Right.
but not one that can take you over the top. Unfortunately for him, there has to be a realization point that the truth is, the adjustments need to be made. That's what Bruce Cassidy and Maurice did.
That's what you got to do. You got to have a good coaching staff as well. And oh, by the way, the Florida Panthers have that. Take it away for the last 250 before we get into our talking points.
Oh, so the Panthers, they are outscoring the Oilers 11-2 in this series. This is a beatdown. Matthias Janmark lifts on this one. This one went way wide. Evan Bouchard on the hold. And Swapper loose. The Panthers get this one out. Oh, goodness. Aaron Ekblad, he is down in pain. He is staying like the warrior he is. Bobrovsky kicked it out, but Ekblad, he is hurting. He needs to get to the bench. He can't do so now. Weathering the pain. The Oilers are set up because Ekblad is without a stick. Now he gets one. Trying to stick one through, fighting for the pain, but he is not a 1% physically. Going to monitor his status. He is fighting it out. Bouchard sent one around. Here's Henrique. This one over to Connor Brown in the near corner. Brown moved over. Echo him over to Brown. Send across. Here's Bouchard. A ripper. Bobrovsky shot. Rebound loose. Bobrovsky out of the goal. Shuts it down nonetheless with 2 minutes to go. Is Ekblad okay? Feels like he tweaked something onto this. He's making his way to the bench.
Yeah, he got big time blocking a shot. That's insult to injury even for the Edmonton Oilers. On the other side, as Bouchard gets robbed by Bobrovsky. Panthers essentially playing a man down for like a minute 20 because Ekblad gets hit on the instep with the puck near his right leg.
Inside the skates. I don't even want to compare this series to what you can say Kendrick Lamar's distance against Drake, but game 1 we can say euphoria. Game 2, 6-16 in LA, and Sergei Bobrovsky outed by several whacks and by several Oilers sticks. And we're not done yet, but game 3, this may feel like if we're listening to Meet the Grams.
I was waiting for you to go all the way across the trifecta for that one. Yeah, this is one-sided right now. Again, I try not to be so disingenuous during the Stanley Cup preview show, but I did say I thought the Dallas Stars would win this one or 4-5 in the third round. I was going to say that again for Florida, but I wanted to give Edmonton credit from what last round, but I guess I should have went with my first thought.
Yeah, the first thought could be that the Oilers, they deserve the credit. No shame to them, but we need to point this out that if we're looking for intrigue, that perhaps we were looking at perhaps the wrong finals matchup. Looking at ranking finals matchups, Florida and Dallas will be number 1, Rangers and Dallas at number 2, Rangers and Oilers at 3. The Oilers are there's coincidental bias between Sam Bennett and Corey Perry. They're both going to the box, but this may be perhaps the most one-sided finals matchup that we've seen thus far. And that's no shame to last year, considering that the Panthers, they ran out of gas and to keep up. And this time, the Panthers, they're fully healthy. The Oilers, essentially, they run into the worst possible opponent that you can face in a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, have you ever played the video game Resident Evil? It's like trying to chase the Chainsaw Man in RE4. I mean, the guy's just going to get you at some point. He's going to do some damage. Insert Corey Perry into the lineup. He runs right into Bennett. He tries to get some punches. You don't want to respond with the extracurricular activity. We just talked about that. You're already down 3 goals. You need the power play. Don't go to the box.
Yeah, he threw a glove over the penalty box, but he knew what he did when he was in the commotion. Bennett. You don't do that against Florida.
No, you're breathing life into them. Again, we have some people dressed up as one of the Teenage Ninja Turtles. Raphael keeps chugging beers because he doesn't know what else to do. He needs some pizza.
He does. Dan O'Rourke is talking with Kris Knoblauch in the end. Do remember, the Panthers won 13 of their last 14 games with Dan O'Rourke. This means pretty much nothing by now, knowing that the Panthers are up 4-1 and are taking advantage of the matches they're going with. One-on-one is Barkov in on Bouchard. Waits for help. Bouchard closes him up. Barkov kicks it out over to the left wing. It's Forsling keeping it in. One of the best waiver pickups in recent memory, Gustav Forsling. Familiarity with Forsling gets a Oiler right onto the bench. And snap backwards, gave it right away over Draisaitl. Draisaitl might have been dead from behind. We stay from 4. Waddell has Reinhart going again. Reinhart smokes it right over the net. That could have been 5-1. Here is going over to the right side. Feed for Draisaitl. Leon behind the net. Looks up front. Protecting on his back end. Then went over to the point. And this one sent over Cantor Joy. Now does. Blocked away by Bobrovsky. Recollected by McDavid and Gretzky's office. Back to the right wing of 50. Bouchard, right around over his stick. And Montour might have checked him up. McDavid ran right into who I believe was Lundell as he looks his center right back. Lundell will chip it forward. Onto the near corner. Recollecting his Bouchard. Evan Bouchard spinning toward right around behind the net. And setting up front. 29 to go. Nugent-Hopkins leads the way for Nurse. Nurse tries to make his way past. Can't do much with it. The Nuge at the far corner. Close down by Ekblad. Sent one around. Arm up in the air. A hokey penalty is going to be called.
So it's going to give the Oilers a little bit more space to work with here. They already had a 4-on-4. Again, I don't know how many times I can tell you that they need to score on a power play, but it's going to be an opportunity for Aaron Ekblad. He's going to go ahead and sit and think about it. He's going to need to rest a little bit. He's probably still smarting from the shot block.
Oh, he is thinking, but no, it's not as bad as the 2 separate shoulders from last year.
No, it's definitely not. As this team is much more healthy. Again, we talked about in Vegas last year. That beat-up team took a game from Vegas. What's Edmonton's excuse?
Well, it's simply running into the worst possible opponent that you can get. If this was the Rangers, we could be talking about a more competitive series. Same thing with the Stars.
I think you have some credence to that as we have about 15 seconds left.
There's a broken stick onto the ice. This goes all the way down to Stuart Skinner. Chance for one last rush in this second period. Set up for McDavid. Coasting with speed. The drop pass off for Draisaitl. Bouchard. Hyman tries to slide a 5. Bobrovsky on the trapper. What does Kris Knoblauch do at 2.4?
Pull the netminder. Do it. I know he's not going to, but that's my call, Alec.
You have to there. You have no choice.
2.4 seconds. You live with whatever you can get. They're not going to go ahead with it. 4-on-3 for 10 seconds. You got 2 seconds left.
Well, they are pulling Stuart Skinner for this sequence. But face off with Evan Bouchard. Smoked it wide. That might have been their only chance to get one back. 5-on-3 from an empty net pool. If they were to bring him within 2, but no, it doesn't matter. The Florida Panthers, they lead 4-1. They can basically coast this one home to the third period, knowing what they can do in that third frame.
Well, I would say this in all honesty, and I mean this in the best regard, Al. Enjoyed working with you. I wish I had an infinite amount of money because I would give you a whole ton of it and tell you you're done for the rest of the day. You can go home and enjoy the rest of it because this game's over.
Well, for one, it's not over until it's over, but knowing as the Florida Panthers being the one that's up for shock
Yeah.
if they blow this.
It would be. Again, it's a perfect road game, and why do I say that? Well, there's some instances in which we talked about. I won't stop picking on Bouchard. I'll leave him alone. But the Reinhart goal that starts it. You get Skinner on the back end, misplays a puck. Vlad Tarasenko, bam, in the back of the net. You turn it over again with Darnell Nurse. That's the third mistake. Sam Bennett, Kachuk, pass goes in between the legs. Bennett finishes it. And then Barkov off of a 2-on-1 from Evan Rodrigues. Beautifully done. Barkov sends it in. 3 mistakes of the 4 goals for the Florida Panthers. You commit that many mistakes, you're in trouble. So we didn't even talk about Warren Fogel's breakaway goal, which was pretty good from Adam Henrique at 149. That's it, though. That's the only good thing for the Edmonton Oilers to bring out of the first 40 minutes. And they've already conceded 4 on 3 mistakes. And they've got involved in the extracurricular again. When you designate Corey Perry into the game, they're going to bring in some of that. Perry, again, was a great player for a long time. He's a Stanley Cup champion. I'm not bringing him into Game 4. I'm sorry. You got to bring in someone else that's going to bring in some speed. I don't care about whatever else they want to do. You got to make sure you limit the mistakes and stay out of the box because this team just keeps running into landmines and they can't get their own way.
They can't. And for some reason that we are talking about 11 forward, 7 defensemen, mentioned Vincent Desharnais' name even once. He's not in the lineup. So the 11 forward, 7 defensemen and reports from earlier in the lineup card turns out it was not for all of that.
No, I think that was incorrect. From what I heard from Bob Stauffer going to NHL Network, they mentioned 11-7. He goes, no. Kris Knoblauch leans 12-6. That's something, as you mentioned, Jay Woodcroft likes to do. He's not going to do that. And honestly, Vincent Desharnais, he's not the best defenseman. But you know what? In between Darnell Nurse, Kulak, CC, Broberg, I think Broberg is the only other one I keep. Obviously, you got to stick with Bouchard, regardless of him struggling in Ekholm. But in between Kulak, Nurse, and CC, I'd bump one of them out for Desharnais, to be honest with you.
Say either one of CC or I think CC may be the most likely candidate to be bumped out.
Yeah.
Nurse can bring the sandpaper, but I feel that could leave CC as the odd man out in such a case.
Yeah, Bouchard and Ekholm are the ones that are curiously -2. CC's -1 with Kulak. Darnell Nurse doesn't have anything to his name, so he doesn't have to deal with the record right now. Connor McDavid, he's got 5 shots. He's a -1. Dylan Holloway -2. Leon Draisaitl, ouch, -3 tonight. 3 shots and a block shot.
Oh, I wonder for all of that. And I'm not going to start up the McDavid and Eichel comparisons again because that is dead now. I'm not going to go with that because nobody should ever bring up the narrative because McDavid is tears, and I mean tears above Jack Eichel as it is. The debate was back in the draft day of 2015 when both were lighting it up for both the Erie Otters and the Boston University Terriers in that case. But in spite of it all, I want to mention about one of Eichel's former line-mates, Evan Rodrigues. If we look at the number of elite Eichel with Boston University and the Buffalo Sabres, Sidney Crosby with the Penguins, Nathan McKinnon with the Avalanche, and now Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk with the Panthers.
Is there any wonder why he's so good, and not just because he's playing with elite players? It's really difficult to play players at times because you have to match their speed and skill. And no matter what you do with Evan Rodrigues, he fits the mold on every team that he's been with. And dare I say, he's playing the best hockey he's ever played.
Yeah, he is. The best that he has all throughout.
I do want to, again, I'm not going to disagree with any of your points with Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel does have something McDavid doesn't, who he's still waiting on for that, and that's not a dig or a shot. But what I will say with Eichel, if it wasn't for McDavid in that draft class, Eichel could have been number one. There's no argument for me there. The one thing I will say for Eichel, though, he's taken all of his effects and thoughts in Buffalo. He's turned himself into a complete player. He's a good one. Connor McDavid is leaps and shoulders, but it does also go to show you this. If Connor McDavid gets at some point a level of consistency amongst his team when he's got a bunch of other skill forwards, yes, he will lift the Stanley Cup. And I won't get too far ahead of myself, but maybe I just lied. Maybe I will, because I think that this series is done. I don't see any sort of Cleveland Monsters reverse sweep comeback attempt alongside the Hershey Bears between the Florida Panthers and the Oilers. Going down 3-0. They lose one, they might lose two. They won't lose this series. But I'm going to say it right now. The Edmonton Oilers, they will not get a cup with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. The only way that those two get a cup, and I still believe that they can, is if they change teams. And the only thing I'm going to say now, which I didn't expect to do it already, but I'm going to just jump into it right now. We talked about Darnell Nurse, contract situation, and everything that's left. And Alec, if you go on Cap Friendly, if it's still up, look for the Edmonton Oilers for a moment, because I just want to see how many years does Darnell Nurse have left, because I know that we talked about it. The cap is shooting up. If I'm Ken Holland, I know you're up against it with cap constraints, but I might even considering him buying him out, so I add a little bit more to this roster.
I was thinking more of him trying to trade him over to a team that's in need of a defenseman, say, if a team that's willing to take on a bad contract, salary retention or not, I feel you have to offload Nurse's contract in the offseason. That may be a high priority for Ken Holland. Having his $9.25 million cap hit, he is a free agent in 2030. Yikes.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, forget what I said. You'll be doing that until the end of time, honestly. So, yeah, you need to offload that somehow. Take a big type of salary retention, maybe retain half or as much as you can, and move on from that. I'm not disrespecting Darnell Nurse to the point where he can't be a good NHL player, because I believe that he can be. I do believe he's better set as a bottom line guy, but there's too much heat on him at this point right now. And Edmonton is really hurting for cap space, and they need to be able to construct this team as much as they can alongside McDavid and Draisaitl until it's done. Hell, let's make a cross-sport reference. That's the exact reason why Nico Harrison went out and got Kyrie Irving alongside Luka Doncic.
It feels like the Celtics and Mavericks, except it's hockey. And we're seeing between these two, between the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals, we can say to ourselves, are they really any different from one another?
No, they're not, Alec. I mean, that's a great comparison. They're not. I understand that you're close. And I don't want to be disingenuous and say, well, only because one team wins, nothing else matters. It's nice when you're close. But also, look at it this way. Both series are going to be 3-0, and you got the same kid flexing without a shirt off being able to sit in front of the glass, and I'm incredibly jealous. But at the same point, both series are going to be 3-0. So how close really are you?
You'd wonder, how close really are you? Dallas showed they're not ready. The Oilers showed they're not ready.
And it's not one of those situations where, I mean, I guess it could be considered that Boston and Florida might be some of the best teams that we've had in retrospect across both sports. But Alec and I have also talked about in between the New York Rangers, who I thought were really close, a really good team in the East. Had the best stay away from all his personal problems. Very unfortunate. He had a Vegas team that was a little bit beat up, kind of maybe not really figuring out what they wanted to do with their lines, too much fretting back and forth, maybe kind of shot themselves in the foot. There were teams that were there, but there also were teams across both sports that did not take advantage of like they should. Like, again, we'll take it another way for you. For the Denver, how do you lose a giant lead like that in Game 7? Timberwolves, great job to get it done, but really, in all retrospect, it should have been the Boston Celtics against the Denver Nuggets. We didn't get that. We talked about some of these other situations going forward, and it's a good thing that Ian joined us because I had to lean in on some of his thoughts. Sometimes we don't get the situations that you want, but again, it just brings home the point where if you're close, yeah, you're in the final steps of it, but when you're 3-0, you're really not. There's a lot of looks that you have to do in that locker room. There's a lot of things that you got to think about. I understand Boston and Florida are excellent teams, but man, oh man, when you get mudhole stomped like this, there's a lot of questions.
How are you doing, Ian?
So as Ian gets settled in, we'll let him get a chance to speak when he gets all. But join in. I don't know if he was cutting in or out or not, but I know he's going to be coming in. So we already reset you here for the second as far as Tarasenko, Bennett, and Barkov. It's 4-1.
Yeah, I think it's the connection, I think. Let's try this again.
I think Ian's getting lost in outer space with the connection side of it. So we gave you the reset there. We gave you our personal thoughts. And let me go one more time and across the team stat board. 29-18. Edmonton's got the shot advantage, but they're way down 4-1 on the goals. 26-19 on hits for Edmonton as well. 24-18 on draws. But Edmonton 0 for 3 on the power play side of it. They had 5 penalties for Florida. Nothing to show for it right now. They have just 2 goals in this series.
That is a big yikes for the Oilers. Well, if we're looking up for something in the previous intermission, John, about Ryan Warsofsky. Not our bingo cards, but he is taking a coaching gig for the San Jose Sharks. We're speaking about the possibility of Jay Woodcroft. Someone known to me that it would have made sense for a bottom of the barrel team to get Jay Woodcroft. Woodcroft is more for a competitive team. So promotion from within. And Bill, that's a good hire. And if you look at Warsofsky, he was the big reason why Erik Karlsson got and he's where he's at now.
It's a good shout out there. And at least for Warsofsky, I would think, Alec, that he would get maybe a little bit of a longer leash for about 4 seasons, maybe 3-4 seasons to figure out what he could do.
Yeah, I would if I'm San Jose. New era, you're prepared, which is basically inevitable by this point. You got a young quarter you mentioned as well. So Bill Warsofsky, he may be the perfect fit with the new era.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to chime in as well with this about something about your. Was some big news that was announced from yesterday with the Blues that, and the said news is Doug Armstrong is going to get promoted to president of hockey operations. Alexander Steen will be his assistant for the first 2 years before Steen takes over as the new general manager of the team by 26. So that's big news for Armstrong, and congratulations to both Armstrong and Steen on their promotions.
Well, I mean, Doug Armstrong is the architect of the first. He was the architect of the first.
The first Stanley Cup.
Yeah, hang on a second, fella.
Oh God, it's this again, isn't it?
He's got some stuff going on. Connection issues as we got about 3:05 left in the third. So we bounced in a little bit across all of our thoughts between Panthers and the Oilers. We're going to get Ian back in here when he's all settled to go. I will split with Alec. He'll close here in this third period. This game might already be done. Unfortunately, it puts us into a thought-where Saturday alongside myself, Alec, Nava, and Cooper Hawkins. This might be our last joint call of the Stanley Cup Finals, but it'd be a good time for Cooper to get his butt in here. Series, I don't think that's going to happen, Alec. We thought we could get something epic, but I don't think we're even going to get to Game 5, it doesn't seem like.
It doesn't feel like it if the Panthers keep playing like this. The Oilers just look outmatched, just like the Mavericks. Both of them look lost out there. The possibility of a sweep in both finals would make. Oh, come on! Really with this?
Yeah,
4 games, not a sweep in both finals.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting robbed a little bit, but it's also telling you this. If you have Canadian teams, let's just throw this out there. I know this is a magical situation, a little bit of a hype. Team that you would rather see in the final play against the Panthers? Are the Oilers the best one they have, or is there another one you're thinking of?
I would have picked either Winnipeg or Vancouver, but if it's Vancouver, it would make for very long travel arrangements. I mean, you have to go from Miami all the way to Vancouver. If my pick was Winnipeg for the Western Conference, and they flopped.
Yeah, they ran into the Colorado Avalanche, and things got. Already mentioned the point with Ehlers possibly on the trade block and what's going to happen there. So there'll be a lot to do in the offseason. A little bit sooner than we thought. Hopefully not. But we'll join back with you once this game is done on Saturday about 8:10 Eastern. I should be able to join Alec a little bit more for tomorrow, a little bit earlier, maybe into the second half as far as the NBA Finals, because I want to get that done and probably call a winner with him on that. Do have a possibility as they had that giant run to maybe get a game, but I don't see much more than that. We're kind of having the same thing now between the Panthers and the Oilers. Again, it's 20 minutes, but it's a goal differential of 3 into the Florida Panthers when they already kind of dominate, so things can get tough.
Well, if there's any solace here that's coming this week, if the both finals do end very early, if there's any solace, I may or may not be Speedway in years this coming Sunday.
Yeah, it's all going to leave us with secondary planes here. And then I know into next week, especially out from where I am, things are going to be in the hundreds, almost like high 90s. So it's going to get real hot as you try to cover out the Valley Firebirds, because I think that's going to get locked in even a little bit more on NHL Network in comparison to this. So there'll be a lot going on. Again, they're showing some of the highlight package on ESPN, but a lot of frustration out here for the Edmonton Oilers.
We got Kevin Video headed to the trade with the Blue Jays.
Yep, I saw it. I don't know what they got. I don't know what the Blue Jays got in return, but man, you know what? It has to happen basically because the Blue Jays now are stuck in a rut. I mean, they're free falling and they're free falling fast.
Wasn't it just a few seasons ago, and I'm going to get into the play-by-play in a second, you had Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero, and Kevin Biggio, and you're feeling pretty good because you got royalty in those bloodlines, and now all of a sudden the Blue Jays, boy, oh boy, that looks pretty bad.
Oh, it's awful.
So McDavid now. Go ahead.
Hang on. I'll go ahead and give my take at the next commercial break, whenever that is.
So McDavid now, we'll send this one back. They do have a $1:10 left to go as this one's sent in. Florida's got a 3-goal lead in the third period, so you kind of already know where this game might be going to, but we're going to be here nonetheless to finish it off. I don't think the post game is going to be very expanded, but it probably will be on Saturday, depending on how everything else goes, because there'll be a lot to see when he does join in. And Alec, Nava, and I will give our thoughts. As this one will be sent in. Draisaitl now across the right side wall. Edmonton just needs an answer for something. Again, you got to take this into segments. Maybe take the next 5 minutes, score a goal. Next 5 minutes, same thing. You got to checklist this across And you got to work Bobrovsky times to tie it. You got to get a couple more to at least get you close and try to get the crowd back into this because they had a lot of money to watch their team get their butt kicked right now at this point. 18:40 left to go in the third. John under with you alongside Alec, Nava, and Ian Genji. It's McLeod. Now for Perry, who's on the secondary power play. That is, as it's stolen. Picked up now Reinhardt. His wrister blocked a couple times. Kulak. Mercifully send this around the inboards. Here for McLeod as the penalty is expired. 42 in the last 44. As we mentioned, everything Edmonton's done well. Florida does even better on that side. Sent back around the wall. Reinhardt, Barkov, flip it back down. Start on the power play, 14 of 30, but since pretty much just not very good on that side. As this is sent in for Bennett, it's lost. And Edmonton, I'll try to take this one left to right in the road. And the home blues and orange, as this one sent in, 67-0-4 in the last 71 games are leading after two. That is incredible. As this is an opportunity now for Verhaeghe. Here's a chance in near the right side for Tkachuk. This will be picked up by Edmonton. But they've got to get in the offensive zone consistently. And you can kind of play that trap on the other end. If you're Florida, you don't have to give up much. Ekman-Larsson, as this is in across the right side wall. It's Brown now. Brown outlet pass. Blocked. They had all sorts of Panthers in the way. Verhaeghe now off the rush. This will be sauced to Tkachuk into an open area. Panthers are plus 17 and the Oilers minus 11 in the third period. And a differential for the Oilers might even bump up a little bit considering that Florida is already way ahead. And Ryan Mikula. And now an opportunity for Kulikov. Try to push this one the other way. He'll send it in deep. Lundell will hunt this puck. And off the stick lift. This will be rammed around the kick plate. And now an opportunity for Edmonton as they gain the line. Try to go ahead and hunt for the puck now. Played by Bobrovsky. Couple extra checks. It's loose. Bobrovsky holds. 16:37 left in the third.
So it's been slowing down the pace here in this third period. No matter where it's go, they'll just take it here. They're just slowing the game for the Oilers here with the 3 minutes and 23 seconds of movement in the third period. Doing how they like.
Yeah, it's business as usual right now. We said that a lot. Their third Stanley Cup final appearance, 96 to 2023. They lost in between Colorado and Vegas, respectively. Florida able to essentially return the favor. No blame on them in between 96 because this team wasn't anywhere near as good, so beat up in last year. So this is Florida's really first good shot at this thing being completely healthy, and they're taking advantage of it right now. They're on the eve of going up 3-0 in the series and essentially pretty much getting this done.
Pretty much. So if we go on and about, perhaps we can start the speculation of what's going to come here throughout the next season or who's going to compete for the Stanley Cup with the Panthers on roster construction. 3 of their players have been drafted here. Barkov, Ekblad, and Anton Lundell. They acquired 7 guys via trade and claimed 1 guy via waivers that was forfeit. But the roster construction throughout feels you either build a team or you buy a team. It's a mix of both.
It's the best of both worlds. It's exactly what you have to have, and Zito done a great job alongside the trade of Tkachuk. There was a lot of thought about whether or not that was the right move. It turned out that was a great move.
Yeah, I mean, the Tkachuk trade is now looking like an absolute fleecing because Calgary seems to be on downturn.
Calgary's going to have some pieces, but they got a long way to go. You're absolutely right. Again, that's what you have to do. You want to be able to get the best player in the trade. That's how you win trades.
Yeah, and Tkachuk showed that. So the return, it made sense at the time, but now more and more I'm getting the feeling that if you compare this trade to the Leonard trade, then Tkachuk is Kawhi. Kawhi is the part where he is not a rental, and Jonathan Huberdeau is the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, I think that's a good apropos comparison. Again, Calgary did what they could as far as the trade as we get consecutive license, so we get the talking points. But it's exactly right.
Yeah, speaking of the NBA real quick, The Mavericks are doing about as much in the finals as the Cowboys did in the first round this past NFL season.
You didn't have to say that about the Dallas Mavericks.
No, sorry. I know. We should be nice. I'm not wrong. I know I didn't have to say it, but come on. I mean, I knew it was going to be tough, but I thought they would at least show a little bit of fight.
They did, to be fair, in Game 3, until Jason Kidd called that timeout to quash the momentum.
It's very interesting, and I'll jump back into this in a moment, but I think we can have our joke. Hey, their hopes rest on the Texas Rangers. Well, you didn't expect that to win the World Series, and their other three teams pretty much implode.
Oh, you didn't expect animals to get a nerve stoppage. We didn't expect the Texas Rangers to, one, be ravaged by injuries this season, and two, be in the midst of a division battle, which basically is the quote-unquote weakest division in the MLB, with the Seattle Mariners, who I believe may or may not be overachieving based on with the amount of opposite output. We don't know what is but they're basically getting a lot of it from their pitchers, but the batting averages, you need to see more from everyone outside Rodrigues.
Yes, you do. And again, they're winning it by default at this point.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the division, right? You have Seattle at the top. The Angeles Angels just flat out suck. The Astros don't know what they want to be. Injured players are no. The Texas Rangers are the same way. And who's the other team in that division?
Seattle.
No.
Yeah,
Seattle.
Oakland, yeah.
Oh. I mean, the Athletics in the process of putting everything on moving trucks and going to Sacramento and then Las Vegas. And they're doing better than three of the teams in that division.
I agree with you. Honestly, I think Oakland has been the better story in comparison to Texas and Houston and the Angels. Honestly, a little bit of overachieving for their part. Again, we've been able to talk whether it could pretty much punch by the wayside, but we'll stay with you right now. It's 4-1. Florida's got the edge. 14:37 left to go in the third, and then I'll jump it across to Alec Nava when we get to the halfway point. Be able to keep things fair. I think on the Saturday side, I think Alec's going to take the first. Cooper probably take the second, and I'll close it here in the third, because by the time I get a chance to close it, it might just be a celebration point. So I'll give the boys the most exciting parts of it. I think that's how I'm going to end up doing it, considering if it goes the way I think it might. As this is picked up now for the Oilers, here's Draisaitl. This will be sent in and around the end boards. Now, Corey Perry is back out there as this is sent out for Draisaitl. I just don't know if that line combination makes a lot of sense. This one's now pushed from the right side. Perry tried to get a retrieval. He gets upended. He stays on his feet, working him behind the net. They've double shifted a little. Now there's a chance for Broberg. He scores. Edmonton gets within two. All sorts of traffic in front of Bobrovsky, so hold all tickets for the moment.
All right, so you got one. You still need two more. Something about your goal total here in the third period needs to improve. That may be a start, but you want to get two more back? Well, here's the start for Philip Brodeur. And as impossible as it may sound, get that traffic out in front, get to the dirty area of the ice. And guess who it was? Connor McDavid setting that up from Gretzky's office to the open Philip Brodeur. Right dot, might have bounced glove. It was a broken play at first, or bounced off the elbow of Nico.
Wow.
Right at first, but it was off the funny glove.
That's unfair for Nico Mikkola. There's nothing he could do right there. It's an own goal, essentially. Philip Broberg is going to get it.
But that's sick and the one that can potentially get the Oilers something, you still need to get all the way back.
Yes, they do. And Alec, I know I mentioned this before alongside Broberg, but he's been one of the guys in the back end I've actually been impressed with. I think he's done well.
Yes, but if you keep him into the lineup, if I'm Edmonton next season, saying if you want to offload Darnell Nurse, feel you can bump up Broberg up to the second pairing with Cody Ceci.
I think it's fair. They've got to be able to make some sort of adjustment there. It's too weak as long as all their outstretched lines in between Ekholm and Bouchard, but they've got to get something from the second and the third line. I think that's the one that makes the most sense. So Edmonton now within two. Florida still up a couple goals here, so it is a third period. We know what they can do. They can probably shut this down. Again, I mentioned to Alec, if Edmonton's going to win this one, it's probably going to be a 5-2 scoreline, but we're closer to that one being reversed, and that's not what they want. But here we go. Connor McDavid gets an assist with the ones are collected across the Oilers logo. Maybe the most dangerous chances to score is right after you just get one, and that's what they got to get. More traffic toward Bobrovsky. And they'll have to hold, and we're clear from 100.
For any other player, 2 points in 3 games would be a career points production. Any other player. For McDavid, is everyday business. 2 primary assists for McDavid in the Stanley Cup final. On a nice feed in front by him and Aaron Ekblad. He set Warren Foegele up and over. No, both Foegele and Ekblad are okay in the midst of it. Remember, Ekblad, he took a shot block right to his ankles. We're going.
Good hit there. Aaron Ekblad, as you said, he's taking a lot of punishment. He got his leg pinned from Connor McDavid in game 2 after the hit behind the bench. He takes the shot block there. He's feeling a lot, but as you mentioned, with the shoulder separations and everything else, probably feeling a lot better than he did about a year ago at this time. Panthers still up comfortably, 4-2, but now full of Broberg with the latest. Connor McDavid, Darnell Nurse at 6:02 of the third. Stuart Skinner, 15 of 19, 31 of 33. It seems too, as it just updated, seems to be lost in all of this because the Panthers have played well, but Bobrovsky's had another solid game.
So far, it's been so good. A good game for Sergei Bobrovsky. 30 of 32 is just everyday business for him. Perhaps one of the 3 stars for tonight, knowing that he is so good. Clock turned back all the way to the Columbus years.
I know they mentioned this on the ESPN side, Alec, and this was probably, but Sergei Bobrovsky is the Conn Smythe favorite. Are you going with him?
I have mixed opinions about that argument for Bobrovsky, but I feel what turns me against Bobrovsky winning the Conn Smythe was that in the first round, it was off the mark. It was fun Bobrovsky-like. The second round, okay, he got back up. And the third, in the conference final and the Stanley Cup final, that's Pete Bobrovsky. Conn Smythe favorites. I could hand it over to either Barkov, or if you want to go with a member of the losing team, winning the Conn Smythe, I'll give it to Evan Bouchard.
That was one of my names that I had before this one started. If this series was different, I would have expected them to make more of an impact. Honestly, just the third line of Anton Lundell and Evan Rodrigues, to be honest with you, because I thought that they've been masterful. But Bobrovsky will get consideration. Now, this was careless by Sergei behind him. He will hold on to it, though, but it will be an offensive zone draw for the Oilers.
He said it. It was a little careless from him as he was playing hot potato to himself with so many Oilers right in front of him. Now, if we're being honest, if we're seeing a trophy for a Stanley Cup Finals MVP for the series, if Rodrigues may be the front runner, Bobrovsky also needs to get consideration for that. If we see the NBA MVP for the entire playoffs, if you remember who got the Celtics to the finals and the Celtics end up winning banner number 18, put Jason Tatum's name on that.
I'm going either Tatum or Brown. Again, I lean Tatum, though, a little bit. I'm right there with you. Those are the only 2 I can think of. As this one's now picked up for the Oilers, they'll send it in 13:03.
From behind the red line, right call by the officials. It wasn't icing. The Panthers saw it, and they helped out the officials in tracking this.
So we'll tell you this. If this does end in 4, it's going to end Saturday. If we need game 5, that's when we go through the venue change with all those miles until Tuesday. So we'll get a long way off and a break here, again, 3 days in between. But we'll see what happens on Saturday when Cooper Hopkins does join in on the trio. This will be picked up now for Tkachuk and across the left side wall. Opportunity now to chase the puck. Warren Foegele, as this goes up and out of play. Single time. I don't know if it's the first or the second, third. Anytime I take it, I get a period where there's just constant stoppages. 12:52.
I don't know what it is either.
It happens quite a lot as the puck just goes out of play here. 32-19 on the shot board. Sometimes they'll. I won't say that in this instance. Edmonton needs to continue this. They just have to find a way to get a goal within the next 5 minutes. That's got to be the marker here. And they're going to have to double shift McDavid and Draisaitl. That really is all they can do at this point. This is a defensive zone draw. Sent back down the ice for a icing again. 12:44.
They did profile Aaron Ekwa in the midst of things. In 17-17 ice time, he has 4 blocks in the game. The goal scorers this series, you would not expect it to be Matisse Ekholm, Warren Foegele, and Philip Brodeur for the Oilers heading into the Stanley Cup final for these 3 games. For those 3 guys to be your goal scorers in the final, you would expect that all. You would be expecting the familiars. Hyman, Draisaitl, Bouchard. Heck, you can throw Owen McDavid into this with his 5 goals. We do not expect the regulars to be left off the score sheet.
And Alec, what that essentially tells you, and I know this is an easy question, but what that essentially tells you, correct? That's why the series line is where it is.
Yep, it does tell us with the depth that Florida has, the all-around efforts. It is the little things that matter.
Skinner had a chance right out in front as this one was rushed away by the Oilers. Corey Perry. This goes in between the legs of Forsling. Perry gets the retrieval. Edmonton needs the desperation to kick in. Again, that was the title of this game story in the sense of it, and that is what we have in front. But Florida does such a great job of turning the water off of the faucet and stopping any chances the other way. Cody Ceci is another opportunity as Forsling absorbs it. Lindell loses it for a moment. Tarasenko in between his legs and Luostarinen trying to push it the other way. Finally gets it out. Lindell the other way. Tarasenko. That's a good touch pass. Tarasenko shoots this one wide near the post. And Brandon Montour will go back into his own end. He'll turn and spin. Nico Mikkola now tries to find the relocation. Tarasenko. It's a puck that bounces right in the air at 11-11. I'll just let Alec take it the rest of the way if he wants to as you get the stoppage.
I felt that Adam Henrique tried to bat out of midair, baseball style, trying to get this through. That was sneaky from him, but just out to reach. 117th career playoff game for Vladimir Tarasenko. Was a Stanley Cup champion with the St. Louis Blues in 2019. Tried to win 2nd in 5 years.
Senators on March 6th. I mean, the Senators tried to make it there. You had Claude Giroux and all that. That didn't work out. But Vlad Tarasenko, he's been on the move a lot the last few years, but he might get us another Stanley Cup.
It was known to the Rangers last season alongside Nico Mikkola, so the two were reunited. So here we go. 9 minutes gone here in the 3rd period. Most of the damage done in the 2nd period. Vlad Tarasenko, Sam Bennett, and Alexander Barkov, the goal scorers in that middle frame. Philip Brodeur gets one back for the Oilers here as he tries one from deep. Bobrovsky away. This goes to the near corner. Panthers get it out. Right by Brodeur, which initiates the foot race. First one there was Barkov on his stick, but it lands onto Brodeur. Got it out. McLeod, right off of Panther Ekblad. Octoso sends it back towards over to Forsling as Florida's looking to restart. Edmonton's out shooting Florida 33-21. But no matter. It doesn't matter if the Panthers are out shooting the Oilers or if the Panthers are getting outshots. Just feels like the Panthers are comfortable either which way. Through the neutral zone, Verhaeghe sends it in. Maurice for the puck. Sam Bennett. Low link to it. Echo got there. Bouchard almost turned it over to Verhaeghe. Now he's Kachuk. The right one off the pad of Skinner. And taken away. Here's Edmonton on the other way. Zach Hyman. Can't get the entry. Lost the puck in the blue line. Here's Bouchard. On the far side. Entry B. Can't get it through. And Bouchard has to try again with 9:46 to go here in the 3rd period. Watching is Bennett. Dan O'Rourke at the near side boards. One of the 2 referees here, the officials. We have 2 linesmen. Crew, as always is. Ekholm on the hold. Watched by Sam Ryer, sent across over to Bouchard, and Bouchard off the near side towards Draisaitl. Right through, cut away on the pass, but lands on the Bouchard again. Carry over. Here's McDavid. Can't make his way over to the net. Good defense by Nico Mikwa. Pass over to Kulak. Double team. Sandwich stop by Brandon Montour. That was Reinhardt. They're each at 2-on-1. Here they come. Broken up by Evan Bouchard. For Evan Rodrigues. Evan Almighty. Here is Brett Kulak back here in direction. Upward Corey Perry. That one pickpocketed. And re-entries Gustav Forsling. We're not in room to shoot at. The drop passes to go there. 23 minutes of ice time for Bouchard. Turn right over to Tarasenko. That was near disaster there as Cody Ceci blocked it up from the right point. Keep it. Here's Lundell. On the right side. Ekblad. Deflected up and still in play. Right onto Lundell. Right around for the far boards. Luostarinen lifted up. This goes back around. 8:30 to go in the third. Lundell. Some more salt under the wound. Ekblad at his own zone. Gustav Forsling, right circle, own zone. 8:18 to go. Panthers leading 4-2, and they can possibly cross the finish line. Sent inside Verhaeghe on the foot race. Brodeur beat him out to it. Brodeur right around the near wall. Shut out by Verhaeghe on several whacks, but helping him is Nurse. Darno Nurse will skate back behind onto the triangle, and for the far side, sent on out for an icing with 7:53 left.
I got to tell you again, we've said that one in game two, and I get to repeat it again. In between Lundell, Luostarinen, and Tarasenko, I know it's a third line. Single time I see them on the ice, they're causing chaos, creating turnovers. Tarasenko already scored in this game. Lundell gets assists. These guys create chances. They are just playing excellently together.
And we know Sergei Bobrovsky has 2 goals allowed fewer in 15 of 19. The finals all counting towards that. So he's been excellent this far. So I can understand why he's the favorite for the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, but I can give the edge over top. Maybe even throw Magic Chuck's name out there as Stephen Lawrence. Backhands around over to Okposo, who is looking for his first Stanley Cup. Perhaps he can get the punches turned away by Skinner. Okposo. Lawrence tied up as well. Around his goes over to Stanley. But you also have the fact that they also have Brian Longberg, who's also available into the lineup, looking for that speed, that grit factor. He was a regular in last year's lineup. He thought he got an overtime winner in Game 1 against Carolina. Didn't do so because of a very controversial goaltender interference call. Turned into a 4 overtime marathon. Matthew Chuck said, puck don't wide. 6:50 to go here for a period. Rodrigues watching. Moved up front. The Oilers to try to get something here. Perhaps something. And Reinhardt, as he blocked it up with the skate. Back the other way they go. Shot right on the Skinner. This goes over to the Nuge. Pressured by Barkov. Who knows if Kris Knoblauch's going with the tactic of pulling Skinner way early, even earlier than Patrick Wow would have done so, was setting up for a love-off in 2014. By Gustav Forsling as Tarasenko. Delayed offside is going to be nullified as Bouchard recollects. Echo through the near wall. Tied up, the offside waved up, and the Panthers back with this. Backhand away, the Panthers have it again. Lundell, poke through, Eetu Luostarinen, walks his back in. No drop. Nugent-Hopkins shoves it away. Bouchard there as well. Several whacks along the triangle. Or the trapezoid. Over the point. At the deep right side. Florida changing now. Matthew Tkachuk staying out there. Off through center. The Oilers going to get a rush. McDavid setting up. To the right side. Bouncing puck around. Excellent defense by the Panthers. Draisaitl. McDavid in the trapezoid. Now at the near corner. A shove. A nudge. A push. Draisaitl backwards. Ceci trying to hold does. Draisaitl. On for McDavid near corner. Well, got it on free, and here's a deep shot. Score! We're not done yet. The Oilers have been won.
That's exactly what they needed, and at least I'm getting closer to that high-scoring prediction. It just felt like there was going to be one of these games, but all of the unlikely sources, Kulak, McLeod, team up on that one. It's a 4-3 game with 5:17 left to go.
Right now, you have two right now. Ryan McLeod on the deflection. turn off your TVs just yet.
No, you can't. And again, that begs the question, Alec, from what you just mentioned with those goal scorers. When are the big boys going to step up to take this home? They've got to now at this point because everyone else has done their job.
And they all have. And keep in mind, Connor McDavid, he has a secondary assist for us. He is 1 assist away from 30 assists on the playoffs. This is a stat to watch for. Less than 5 to go. Florida trying to punch right back. Sam Ryder holds, fires high. Recollected back behind the net. Oilers are all over this. Cody Ceci. Matthias Janmark over for the near side. Connor Brown walking his way by. First to it is Alexander Barkov. Brown trying to shut him off. Oliver Ekman-Larsson sends one up front. Can't get much of it. Luostarinen. The Oilers multi-goal comeback win. That was game 4 against Dallas with the under only one. Do remember, they led 4-1 against Vancouver. Lost by 4 regulation. This could be a role reversal. Here comes McDavid. Trying to close it out. Up front. Save rebound. Bobrovsky shut it down twice. This goes to Nurse. All of a sudden, the Oilers have the momentum now. Panthers trying to get out of their own zone. Verhaeghe. Up front, here's the rush. Anton Lundell. North side. Back side. And this goes out to center. Forsby chopped at it like a lumberjack back in. Skinner. On the setup for Darnell. Verhaeghe's going to watch. Far side. Brett Kulak leading the way as the far side of Bennett watching onwards like a hawk. Kachuk trying to recollect. Hounded by Derek Ryan all around. McDavid with 2 assists here in this game. We're in a must-win territory here for Edmonton. He has it now. Backhand 1 to the point. Echo waits a bit. Back around for the boards. Hyman behind the net. Cut by the front. Fires this one wide. Back to the point. Bouchard makes the drive. Now this one-timer goes wide. Way wide of Echo. Just goes back over to Edmonton zone. 3:15 to go in a brand new hockey game here at Rogers Place. Moved up front. Across the blue line. A toe drag. Cancel it out. Once jumping to Rodrigues. Bouchard on the pitch. Trying to hold. Loose puck. It's still free at the slot. That's it. 3-on-2. Fired over to the near. And picked up at the opposite side. Going back over. At the point recollected by Edmonton. Move up front. Here's Connor Brown. Send one over to Nugent. Just on time. And recollected by Brown. Right behind that. Tied up by Ekblad. Matthias Janmark has it. Janmark. Back to the point. No drop from Cody Ceci. Back for Janmark. Watched by Ekblad. And the Oilers fans are furious. They think that Florida should be penalized for away. Protesting the officials about the no call, and I thought it should have been a tripping penalty as Barkov sends it over to the far side, and the Oilers fans still sick to their stomach. They ice it. No, it's waved off. This will be settled. They clear it. When does Stuart Skinner go to the bench? He's waiting for the signal. Setting up is Kulak to the far side. Here comes an interesting 150. Swing to the fence. McDavid offside the signal. And you can bet that every Oiler fan here in attendance is sick to their stomach.
Yeah, the boos are raining down near the right side boards in which the infraction likely occurred. You had McDavid. Wow, McLeod, that was set up a golden opportunity for McDavid right in between the wickets of Bobrovsky. Somehow able to get his left pad stretched out in a full sprawl to stop this game from being tied. And that was with 4:15 left. We got 1:49 left to go.
Do we get ourselves a situation where it's Toronto versus Tampa game 4, Boston versus Toronto game 7, 2013? Do we get a situation if the Oilers come back to win this in an overtime? Because we thought this game was over and to an extent the series. Well, McDavid and company said, hold your horses.
Yeah, really. And again, I have to mark myself a big minus because I said when it was 4-1 going into this third period that it was done. Florida finally concedes a couple in the third. Edmonton gets their pushback. We're going to do this draw again just through the neutral zone with 1:49 still left to go on the clock. And Stuart Skinner thinking about leaving his goal crease.
He's getting a single angle from Kris Knoblauch should the Oilers enter the zone. It's a type of the draw. Florida has it so he can't exit. This will lift it down. Bouchard will start up Verhaeghe pinching. Echo at his own zone. To go. The Oilers try to send this to an overtime. Skinner leaving the crease. Boredom moment. Sent up for McDavid. Net is empty now. Bouchard walks this one through. Here's McDavid on the far side. Matthias Ekholm right around. Extra attacker south. Alexander Barkov can't clear. Behind the net, Hyman for McDavid. 6 up 5. Ekholm out in the far corner. 1:12 on the clock. Walking the point. Here's Bouchard. Over to Draisaitl. Fire one towards the net. Can't do it. This one's coasting down and it's going to go off the outside of the post. So close to an empty net goal for Aaron Ekblad, which could have been his second.
That would have been absolutely unbelievable. Unrelenting pressure. Some of the Panthers fans have their head in their hands. I mean, that was from 200 feet and hit the outside of the crossbar.
Oh, man, you know, this just, I commend Edmonton for their efforts up to this point. I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the But if this result holds, I'm going to give my take before you guys close it out.
Sure.
I got something to say about that team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, Alec and I mentioned, I threw this out there to Alec. 3 of the goals that Florida scored in this game are self-inflicted mistakes by Edmonton. Different result if they just cleaned it up a little bit more, but they still have a chance to tie it with 61 seconds left to go.
That goes down my spine, I'll admit. This is amazing.
This is almost like the run that we saw in yesterday's Game 3.
If only the Oilers they can finish it off this time around. Draisaitl 10-22 on faceoffs. He wins this one. Final minute in the third period. Do we see a tying goal as Ekholm sets up? Drop pass back for Ekholm. One pass. It's Barkov down the distance. Why? The Oilers have another breath of life with 49.7.
I kind of wonder at some point, I'm not blaming Barkov there, if you just hold on to the fighting for their life right now for the first time in this series. I know they're up nothing, but this is the first game where I feel like they're trying to hold on.
Are so good here on the pushback here in the third period. Does the comeback get completed? The Panthers get one. It's over out to center. Bouchard recollects. Reinhardt is watching. 40 seconds to go. Reinhardt forces Bouchard back in the trapezoid. 36 seconds to go. Rooting inside. Here is Draisaitl on his way. Is furious, knowing there should be a penalty. Has twice now. Loose puck battle. Bouncing around over to the near corner. Draisaitl can't get it. 20 seconds to go. McDavid tied up by Ekblad. Loose puck still. Ferocious puck battle. The Panthers trying to secure it. Dan O'Rourke watching it tightly. 11 seconds. Still it's loose. This goes back over. Out onto the Oilers zone. The Florida Panthers 1 win away from the Holy Grail. Lord Stanley within sight.
That was a hellacious push by the Edmonton Oilers, but for me, just too many mistakes early throughout this game haunted them as it was put in the back of the net. And the question I throw out to you, I know Ian's going to get his final thoughts, and I'll let him get to that in a moment. But these fits and starts and stops for Edmonton are just too little too late, correct, gentlemen? So out of nowhere here as Florida had to hold on. But if we just see a little bit more consistency from Edmonton, they could have been okay. Nonetheless, now Florida has a 3-0 series lead.
This team, the Edmonton Oilers, I have looked at them as paper. Like, I've looked at them as contenders, dare I say frauds, this entire time. And it's not anything to do with their offensive attack propelled them to this point.
Sure.
But it's their defense. And I understand tonight was about the mistakes. But the first two games, they lost both of those games in convincing fashion, if I remember correctly.
3-0 and 4-1, yes.
Exactly. So, you know what that says to me? That says to me that the wrong team from the Western Conference made the finals. The wrong team made the finals. I'm going to say it. Dallas by now has won one, maybe two games. No, this is game 3. They have at least won one game on their home ice by this point. Because they were a more complete team than Edmonton. They just felt. I feel like Dallas just ran out of gas. And they weren't able to keep up with the Oilers. But the Oilers are all offense. And when the big guns aren't clicking, when Connor McDavid aren't just shooting the lights out of the building each night, the Oilers are what we know they are.
Mm-hmm.
An offensive juggernaut with no defense whatsoever. And it leads to series like this, where as soon as they go up against another team that has not just a stout defense, an elite defensive unit like Florida, they are going to get exposed like they exposed this entire series. And I don't need to say anything about their defense any more than what PK Subban already did, calling it toothless and soft.
Jump in, Alec.
No. If PK Subban's saying that, it may or may not be over, but defensively, for as good as they were this season under Kris Knoblauch, this is a good but extreme. It's no secret that they're relying heavily on their stars, and it feels that way as much as it is, that they're so top-heavy up route. No secret that if there came with him dealing with sports hernia, it may hurt a bit. And we did discuss this earlier, John, on another time, about how many goals that or 10 goals by now. With him out the equation, limits Edmonton's goal scoring ability. So with him out the bonus on guys like Holloway, and granted, Ryan McLeod, he did get a goal, and that was an deflection goal right from a shot from Brett Kulak. And when I did cover this team back at the Heritage Classic, they were in a state of influx. Like, what was the plan? But here, the Oilers to the final. Granted, you can't say they shut down for the Oilers. They shut down the Stars with a penalty kill, up and throughout, using every tool at their disposal defensively, up and throughout. But you want to wonder, what if this team made it to the finals?
I don't want to with your gentlemen's points because honestly, I don't have the energy, and you said all the right things. I know what people are going to say. You make the finals for the reason, you do all that. The one thing I will defend you in on vehemently is this, and Alex said it right. So they ran into a 7-game series against the Vegas Golden Knights. They had to go up against 6 against Colorado. I said that from day one. I think Dallas is going to run out of gas. Although when I said going into it in the Western Conference, I thought Dallas was either going to sweep or win in 5. Happening. So I overcorrected myself and gave Edmonton a couple games. I still said they were going to lose this series in 6, but I figured this was going to be Florida getting their revenge and being completely healthy. So your gentlemen's points are well taken. Okay, here's this. You made it to the Stanley final. Kris Knoblauch's done a great job. You've improved on the penalty kill. Yes, you made some mistakes that ultimately cost you the game today. But again, as I mentioned, they made it to the final, but how close are you? Because as you guys said, that's still a team that's very, very flawed. There's a lot of work left to do, and I into it. It's not small tinkers. They still need to figure out maybe 3 or 4 defensemen. You still got to figure out whether your goaltender is in the back of it, if you want to stick with Stuart Skinner, maybe some secondary forwards. The fixes aren't small for Edmonton. So, yeah, this is going to be some window dressing a little bit. Yes, you may now, but this is your ceiling, and I don't see that core winning the Stanley Cup. That's just me.
He'll start with trading him to a team that's going to take on bad contracts. Next, what do you do with Jack Campbell? That contract didn't age at all nicely. So I feel you may have to come to a realization, perhaps, maybe, and I may come to this point, maybe you can explore the possibility of buying.
All the years that are left, but you might have to do it with Campbell. Again, Campbell's under the side of it for AHL, so they can get some salary cap relief. There's a lot left to do for this team and for Ken Holland. Again, I hate to always throw his name out there because I kind of seem to have like a sixth sense to do it. But look, he's had the responsibility since leaving the Red Wings to kind of try to add more around Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And I'll just say it honestly, he's failed.
Plain simple. Unfortunately, that's about Ken Holland. For as good as he was before the salary cap, he only won one Stanley Cup.
Right.
After the Stanley Cup. That was 2008. And unfortunately, he's about to fall to 1 and 2 in Stanley Cup finals after the salary cap. The Magic may have worn off on him.
So I will say this. I know Saturday side of it. Cooper Hopkins going to join in for the first time. Again, I think Alec will lead off. Cooper will take the second, and I'll close it out as we'll do a three-man broadcast for the first time in the Cup final. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sad that I think our time is going to end, but Alec, thank you for joining me again. Ian, thank you for jumping in. And Alec, I'll try to make sure that I can get the whole entire second half because I think we're also going to be working together on the NBA final. I think you're going to call a winner tomorrow.
I would be disappointed if we get 2 sweeps.
I think if we have to bet right now, before I close out, Ian, jump in on this. Are we all going sweep? I'm leaning sweep on both. What say you guys?
Sweep. Just double sweep.
Double sweep?
There is no competitive nature in either of these finals. I expected much from the NBA because, quite frankly, the NBA's product is predictable and mundane. But from the NHL, this is just sad.
Are you going double sweep, Mr. Nava?
I'll say Panthers in 5. I want to see another game over at Amerant Bank Arena. Celtics, I think they sweep.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. That means we would get another game on Tuesday if we get to that point. I'm looking forward to our Game 4 on Saturday, regardless of what happens, but I will join you tomorrow, whether or not it's for the second half or not. I don't want to leave. I will talk to you, gentlemen, very soon. I hope to see you again as soon as tomorrow. You have a good night, okay?
Good night, everyone.
Good night, fellas.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Florida Panthers take a 3-0 dominating series lead into the Stanley Cup Finals. I can't say I told you so because it kind of felt like that's what we all thought in this situation, but boy, oh boy, you a little bit better, I would think, but too many self-inflicted mistakes for the Edmonton Oilers. This one's donezo. Saturday night's going to be fun because it will be joined in by myself, Alec, Nava, and Cooper Hopkins for the first time. So that's going to be a lot of fun on the Saturday night broadcast. But who gets extended? Alex said maybe Game 5 for the Stanley Cup Finals, but not for the NBA Finals. I guess I can lean with him on that, but I'm probably closer to what Ian just thought to you. Double sweep on both sides between the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals. Little sad. But if we do get the double sweep and everything gets done early, I think join in for the AHL Calder Cup final between the Hershey Bears and the Coachella Valley Firebirds. And if that's the case, we'll cover that one because I still want to cover off hockey, damn it. There's a lot left to do here, but these series are going to end too quickly. Talk to you guys then. Peace.